All right, we are going to go ahead and get started right on time. I love that. Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, we are really glad that you are here. If you are coming in on the replay, listening between real life and real responsibilities, this summit was designed to meet you right where you're at. So that replay is going to be available. You'll get an email right after the broadcast from StreamYard, and it will also live on my website. When you signed up, you got an email that gave you access. So Mondays are already there waiting for you. Tonight, I'll have them there by tomorrow afternoon. So every day that replay is going to be available and it's going to be evergreen. It's going to live there. This is a place where you're never behind and you will never miss it. You're here now, and that is what matters. Over the past sessions, we've heard from voices across the MonDak region who are deeply committed to one thing: helping people reconnect with their bodies, with their health, and with their personal responsibility for well being. If you missed any of the sessions or you want to rewatch something that really landed with you, again, that replay is available. If you're lost or confused about that, you're welcome to reach out to me at any time. I encourage you to use it to get to know the people in the MonDak who are here to support you. Some of these conversations are the kind that you don't fully absorb the first time. They settle in layers. And you don't need to consume everything. You don't need to agree with everything. Just take what resonates and let it spark you to the next step. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting your local practitioners, for choosing curiosity over complacency. This is how real change begins. So let's get going. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please make sure that you get in the comments. We do have prizes. So if you can stop in at Awaken Wellness at the end of the week, you'll get notified when your prizes are ready. And there's going to be some bonus things from the presenters that you can pick from. But some of the prizes, I've got these notebooks. They've got everybody's logo on them. And on the inside cover, it's got this really nice QR code that is going to direct you to the replay. We've got some calendars that highlight all the presenters. And again, I made sure that replay was easy for you to find. There's a QR code on the calendars that take you to that replay. And then we've got a few t-shirts. And like I said, then there's random goodness that some of the presenters are throwing in. That I'll get all organized when the weekend comes. So right now we are just going to welcome Dr. Gabbert from Gabbert Chiropractic Center to the conversation. He's from Glendive, Montana. He is someone I trust deeply, not only on a professional level, but on a personal level. He has cared for my family, my children, my grandchildren, and myself. What I appreciate most about Dr. Gabbert is that he is incredibly gentle, but also extremely thorough. He doesn't rush, he doesn't guess, he doesn't take a chance, and he doesn't chase pain. He has a heart for helping people, especially children. He truly understands the nervous system, the tie in with emotions and physical health, and how everything is connected. His chiropractic approach looks at the whole person, not just symptoms. In my practice, he is one of my trusted referrals. What we do together works. Each of us brings something special to the table, and when those pieces come together, people heal better. This is going to be a free flowing conversation. Make sure you get in the comments and drop your questions. When Dr. Gabbert finishes his presentation, we will circle back. Here we go. Welcome in.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to seeing what people have to say. So I'd like to start off by asking, why do I get sick? Why are people sick? What's required to get and stay well? There are 6 facets of health from my perspective. Number 1 is exercise. Number 2 is proper nutrition. The third is positive mental attitude. The fourth is good sleeping habits. 5 is good posture. And number 6 is a healthy nerve system. I'd like to start off by sharing some very important facts. Fact number 1, we are in the midst of a chronic illness pandemic that affects all ages, and it's a public health emergency. It's massively devastating to humanity. It's the leading cause of death. It's the leading cause of money expenditure. It's the leading cause of human suffering and misery. It takes up 90% of all healthcare costs. It takes up 90% of hospitalizations. Chronic illness is a chronic metabolic maladaptation or metabolic dysfunction. Sorry about that. So it's not our genes or bad genes, it's a bad lifestyle issue, which causes stress metabolism issues. The human genome has not changed in over 75 years, yet every chronic illness has increased exponentially. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, obesity, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, depression, anxiety, suicide, anything you want to think of. All of these chronic illnesses have exponentially risen over the last 75 years, but our genes have not changed. Number 2, drugs and surgery can never fix a problem caused by not eating proper foods, not exercising enough, not loving yourself, or having proper mental health or social relationships. Number 3, most people have attributed lifestyle to looking a little bit better, losing a little bit of weight. Lifestyle is the biggest variable that determines whether you get chronic illness or not. So lifestyle is the only solution because drugs cannot fix a poor diet. You can't take a pill to fix a problem caused by poor food or get the benefits of exercise or the benefits of healthy relationships and self-esteem. Number 4, the only logical and scientific and evidence-based way to cure chronic illness or prevent chronic illness is by changing your lifestyle away from something which is unhealthy and making you sick towards something which is healthy and can literally get you and keep you well. That's the only way to get healthy and stay well, by developing a healthy lifestyle partnership. From the CDC's Almanac of Chronic Disease in 2009, chronic illness is the leading cause of death and disability in the United States. 7 out of every 10 deaths in the US are attributed to chronic disease and illness, like heart disease and cancer. These top the list of the most common causes of death. More than 133 million Americans, or 45% of the population, have at least one chronic condition. And 76 million, or 26% of the population, have multiple chronic conditions. The Centers for Disease Control's chronic disease research published in August of 2025 shows the following statistics. 90% of the nation's $4.9 trillion spent on healthcare expenditures, that's out-of-pocket money, are for people with chronic conditions. That's $12.2 billion a day, $507 million an hour, $8.5 million per minute, or $141,000 a second. That's the cost of chronic illnesses. Preventable, 100% preventable, lifestyle related, self-inflicted. 25% of the population, according to that study, have 4 or more chronic illnesses and take 4 or 5 medications as well. Most of these people will lose 30 to 90 days of work productivity, absenteeism, not at work, or presenteeism at work, but can't do their job effectively every year. The fact is, chronic disease is not due to bad genes. It's due to bad lifestyle choices and bad environments. So goes the habitat, so goes the inhabitants. So go the habits of the inhabitants in that habitat, so goes the inhabitants. In a report published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, one of the most highly respected in terms of physiology in 2005, a study on the effects of exercise and diet on chronic disease, current modern chronic diseases, cardiovascular disease, type 1 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and cancer are the leading killers in westernized societies and are increasing rampantly in developing nations. Why are they increasing rampantly in developing nations? Is there rampant genetic mutations occurring, or is there a rampant adaptation of how we eat, move, and think? So if you eat, move, and think like us, they will be sick like us. In fact, they go on to say, in fact, obesity, diabetes, and hypertension are now even commonplace in children. Overwhelming evidence from a variety of sources, including an epidemiological perspective cohort and intervention study, links most chronic diseases seen in the world today to physical inactivity and inappropriate diet consumption. And clearly, however, there is an epidemic of metabolic disease that is inundating today's societies worldwide. You know, it's like chiropractic is always right again. And like the way your body is designed, you have to get to maximize the design of it. You're not meant to sit at a desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, then sit in a car, then go home and sit at a table and then sit in front of a TV. If you wanted to design a way to make people sick, we've done it. If you want, excuse me, I can tell you that right now there are biochemists figuring out ways to make poisons taste good for children for money. We are Stone Agers in the fast lane. Chronic degenerative disease is an evolutionary perspective. Back in 1988, in the American Journal of Medicine, this is how long we've known from a standpoint. Human living today are nothing more than Stone Age gatherers displaced through time to a world that differs from that through which our genetic constitution was selected. Unlike evolutionary maladaptation, our current discordance between what our genes need and how we live has little effect on reproduction success. Rather, it acts as a potent promoter of chronic illnesses, atherosclerosis, essential hypertension, cancer, diabetes, and obesity, among others. Listen, let's do a quick experiment. Let's say we've got all the hunter-gatherers, and now let's measure their physiology, their body fat, how much obesity, diabetes, heart disease. You know, are they pretty healthy? Are they pretty physically fit? Do you think they're more capable physically? So now let's make them eat, move, and think like us. So now let's transfer what we do to them, what we do to us, and then we're going to transfer what we do to us. What do you think will happen? Will we get healthier because we eat their diet or sicker? Waging war on physical inactivity using modern ammunition against an ancient enemy. Indeed, environmental factors have been identified as 58 to 91% of all causal factors of the three most dominant chronic health conditions. From the CDC, between 1960 and 2002, in a report to Congress, they stated that healthcare spending on prescription drugs alone increased by 550% or 55 times. Health declined during that period. In Hale's report, they described prescription drugs among adults between the ages 40 to 79 in the US and Canada. In 2019, their Centers for Health Statistics stated that 7 in 10 adults between the ages of 40 and 59 used at least one prescription drug in the last 30 days, and around 69% in the US and 65% in Canada, or 1 in 5, use at least 5 prescriptions. In the US, the most commonly used drug types are antidepressants, lipid-lowering drugs, and blood pressure inhibitors. In Canada, analgesics, antidepressants, lipid-lowering, and blood pressure drugs. In the age group 60 to 79, the most common in the US were cholesterol-lowering and diabetes and blood pressure. In another report published in the British Medical Journal, 2015, Christensen et al., the effects of statins on average survival in randomized trials and an analysis of endpoint postponement, 3.2 to 4.1 days, not months, years, or days. So basically, no effect shown in primary and secondary prevention trials. 2012 CDC again, US drug prescriptions use up 600% since 1990. That's published in the Annals of Family Medicine. And between 1995 and 2005, adverse drug reactions reported by the FDA tripled, making them the fourth leading cause of death. There are no incentives to drive doctors to treat diseases with lifestyle interventions. By addressing the real cause of disease with lifestyle and not just treat disease risk factors, which are simply the effects of poor lifestyle choices, we can save almost $1.9 trillion over 10 years or for just 5 major diseases: heart disease, diabetes, prediabetes or metabolic syndrome, prostate, and breast cancer. What we eat, how much we exercise, and how we respond to stress. Increased physical activity, proper nutrition, and weight management need to be the mainstream healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a pandemic, and it's not caused by our genes, it's caused by bad lifestyle choices. The evidence is clear that when you change your lifestyle, you will change your metabolism, your health, and you will change the quality and quantity of your life. So what part does chiropractic play in this? Let's first look at what is the real purpose of chiropractic. It is not about getting you out of pain, although relief of pain does occur. You see, it's not so much about how you feel, it's about how you function. It is about making sure your brain and your body have a clear and free-flowing communication through the nerve system. In other words, if your nerve system is functioning the way it was programmed and designed, you'll have the best health you've ever had. It is my belief that chiropractic applied specifically to the segments in your spine that need chiropractic intervention to improve their function is the most vital need we have as humans. Thank you. Questions or concerns?
I love this slide. I just added it for you. It goes along with what you're saying.
All right.
Do you see it on your end, or did I mess you up?
Yeah. Well. being a chiropractor for over 45 years, we've worked on just about anything you can possibly imagine, from people with cancer. Yeah, even people with cancer benefit from chiropractic.
Keep going. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. This just went along exactly with what you're saying.
That's okay. Yeah.
Dr. Gabbert, can you tell us about your method? That is something that really interests me. When I first came to see you, that's what made you so much different than other chiropractors that I had been to in the past.
Oh, crap. Lost need. Still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
So I practice what's called the Gonstead method of analysis and adjusting. It was developed by Dr. Clarence Gonstead from Mount Horeb, Wisconsin. And Dr. Gonstead developed a very specific analysis using instrumentation to help look for inflammation, which is one of the ways that we help to detect what segments in the spine need to be adjusted specifically. It's not an overall adjustment, it's only certain segments in the spine that actually need care. We also use instrumentation to analyze how the nerve system is functioning. And the reason we do that is because the scientific research has shown that a spinal nerve has three primary functions. They tell us that only about 10 to 12% of a spinal nerve has sensory fibers that transmit pain. To me, that says that 90% of all spinal issues have absolutely no symptoms to tell you you've got it. So in other words, it's subclinical at best. There further research that about 45% of a spinal nerve controls all the muscles in your body, telling the muscles too tight, too loose, spasm, cramping, you're paralyzed. And the last 45% of the nerve system, spinal nerve, controls your body's automatic operating system, part of your nerve system that controls all your organs, your glands, your blood vessels, all your hormone and chemical levels. So knowing how your body, your nerve system functions helps us pinpoint where the specific segments in your spine that need a specific adjustment to improve nerve function. And lastly, we take x-rays of your full spine because the integrity of your spine determines whether or not it can accept and safely receive a chiropractic adjustment as needed.
Yeah, and when I first went to see you, your equipment looks different. I found a picture on this slide here, and that was unexpected to me. Tell me why you use that hand on your hands and knees approach.
Yeah. The equipment, this is all equipment that Dr. Gonstead developed. Dr. Gonstead graduated from chiropractic college 102 years ago. And he practiced for 40 plus years, seeing over 300 patients a day, 6 days a week. You say, how can a guy see 300 patients in a day? Well, he started before 8 o'clock in the morning and he never finished till after midnight.
Wow.
So the equipment he developed was to best use the equipment based on the natural biomechanics of the spine so that you could deliver a needed adjustment with as little force as possible. So I was very fortunate, that I was led to Dr. Gonstead early in my chiropractic education, and it's the only thing I've ever done.
is this still being taught in chiropractic schools, or is this method kind of disappearing?
Yeah, well, this method, it there's not a lot of chiropractors that practice this method because it takes a lot of hard work to be good at it. And everybody's always looking for the easiest way out. They want the easiest way to make a change, but not necessarily something that is going to create a stick with value. Yeah, Dr. Gahn said developed his large practice by getting results. And when I was going to chiropractic school, I realized that of all the different techniques that are available to learn how to make a chiropractic adjustment, which there's over 30 some different techniques taught in chiropractic schools, this is the one that stood out to me that made the most sense. Was it hard work? Yep. But when you learn how to apply the adjustment correctly, the results speak for themselves.
Oh, you just do such amazing work. I totally threw your speech off. I feel I feel terrible. I disrupted you with my slides. Do you want to jump back into your speech, or can we tell a few stories?
Yeah, well, we can tell stories. What do you want to hear?
Well, Jen, you know Jen, my daughter-in-law, she's in the comments. And so we have her
Yeah,
permission. Her little guy Will is such a good example.
yeah.
When he was just a little guy, you noticed right away him walking on his toes, and he had poop problems. I tell this audience why that what connected? What was that about?
Repeat that, Tanya. I didn't hear all that.
You bet. Will, when you first met Will, my little
Uh-huh.
grandson, you noticed he was walking on his toes. And then he
Uh-huh.
had bowel problems. He had chronic constipation. Can you talk about how those things connected and how you've helped him?
Yeah. Well, kids and infants that when they're learning to walk and they first walk and they're what they call toe walkers is an indication of direct pressure on the spinal cord in the upper neck or the skull has misaligned one or the other in that area, and it interferes with the brain's ability to get to the feet. And so they have to walk on their toes to keep from being overstimulated by the nerve system, which led to a sluggish bowel. So by making those adjustments, it relieved the stress in the upper neck and on the spinal cord so the message could get to the bowel. So
That's
we can share
amazing.
and yeah.
Go ahead.
The first real big chiropractic wow story we had is happened 45 years ago, this past December, when our first son was born. And he was born in a hospital, and we brought him home on Christmas Eve from the hospital. And my wife was really frustrated because he had projectile vomiting. And I said, well, he needs an adjustment. And she says, you're not touching my baby. And it kind of really hit pretty hard with me. So I called my mentor and said, what do I do? She said, just do whatever she wants, and she will realize that the baby needs to have an adjustment. So the day after Christmas, we're back at the hospital and they do their GI testing and stuff. And that was before the technology we had. They did what they call a barium study, where you drink that white chalky stuff so they can look at your intestines, your stomach, and your bowel. And the nurse is having a tough time getting him to drink all the barium, and he's whining and fussing. And then the nurse gives the bottle to my wife. Here, you try. I said, now we got two people bawling their eyes out, the baby and mommy both. So the nurse said, well, we probably got enough. So the doctor comes in after the evaluating the GI study and says, we can't see what's wrong. We're going to recommend doing exploratory surgery. My wife looked at him and said, there's no way you're doing exploratory surgery on my 3-day-old baby. So as we're heading back home, my wife says, let's stop and let Dr. Gary check him. So my mentor, best friend in chiropractic, Dr. Pfaff, checks him, gives him his first chiropractic adjustment, and my wife is blown away. The next 24 hours, he never puked once. And there it became the first chiropractic miracle for me. And then shortly thereafter, we were practicing in Laurel, Montana at that time. And we had a grandmother that had her daughter and her grandson from Plentywood that were down visiting them. And the baby was a forceps delivery, and it had a knot in a big muscle in your neck, the size of a silver dollar. The baby held its head to one side all the time. It couldn't even turn its head to one direction. So 2 chiropractic adjustments provided correctly to that silver dollar was gone in less than a week. And the baby was able to nurse off both sides. The mom never ever to have that issue again.
That
So,
is
another thing I like to look back at some of the things that I look back and say, wow, about. I remember early in my practice here in Glendive, I had this elderly gentleman rancher that had cancer, and he had gone through the chemo and radiation and all that stuff. And his last 6 months checkup, everything was okay. And we took our x-rays and stuff, and we noticed a spot that didn't look normal to me. And I took the x-rays up to the hospital, had the radiologist look at him, and he said, this guy needs to get to see his oncologist now. So he goes to the oncologist, and the oncologist said, yeah, the cancer's back, but it's really bad now. So he was in my office, and he had got to the point where he only needed to be in every 2 or 3 weeks. And pretty soon then he was in every week. Then he was in twice a week. Then he's coming 3 times a week. And I said, it's obvious your cancer has a great hold on you. And I just don't feel comfortable continuing to take care of you. He said, oh, hold on. Wait a minute, doc. Of all the things that the doctors are giving me up the street at the hospital, nothing does for me what your chiropractic adjustments do for me. He said, I'm coming in until I can't be here anymore. So, and now to expound on that more about chiropractic and cancer, my oldest brother about 8 years ago went to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America to become kind of like an outreach hospice worker for people that had come for cancer treatment to help them through their tough times after having had the cancer. And he said he was really amazed because when he got there in the brochure that they hand all their cancer treatment patients, it voluntarily highly recommend that all patients be under chiropractic care while enduring their cancer treatment with them. So what difference does it make? It's huge. Your body can adapt better when it has a healthy nerve supply.
Agreed. It is so amazing. And I know that's one of your passions is to support families and families as a whole. I love when people come in. I love your explanation of how when the whole family is in a room and one person is getting adjusted that everybody benefits. Can you tell our crowd about that?
Yeah. Well, the science tells us about the human body that every human has an energy field that extends some 16 feet beyond ourselves. That's why when you're walking down the street, you can sense somebody behind you, even though you can't see them or hear them. And so when you get a chiropractic adjustment, it changes your energy level. So anyone within 16 feet of you receive some of the same benefit that you do from your chiropractic adjustment. That's why most chiropractors are highly energetic people, because they're getting energetic feedback from their patient that they just gave their adjustment to.
Do you
So,
see that comment?
yeah. So, another thing, some 40 years ago, we had some very outstanding chiropractors that were concerned, and they wanted to prove that chiropractic works. So they found a research scientist in New York City by the name of Dr. Ron Perot. He's an ecogenetic toxicologist. In other words, he studies the effects of our genetics on our genetic expression. And he was the lead doctor on the team of doctors back in the 50s at that time, what they knew to be the cause of cancer. And he did different tests. He looked at 3 different things with people that had cancer and comparing them to healthy people. And his definition of healthy people at that time was someone that had no physical stress. They exercised regularly. They had an impeccable diet. They had no financial stress. They had great family relationships, a great social outlook on life, and they had no family history of major chronic degenerative disease. And this is what he looked at. He looked at a thing called oxidative stress. And he found under oxidative stress that the healthy people were 200% better than the people that had cancer. The next thing he looked at was autoimmune index. In other words, once I'm sick, how is my body's ability to respond? And that also showed a 200% greater in the healthy group of people than the people that had cancer. And thirdly, he looked at what is your immune competency over time. And he found out that the people that had cancer, once they had developed cancer, their immune system just dropped off the scale. He found out that the healthy people just made a gradual decline in how their nerve system or their immune system functioned over time. So the brash chiropractors that we are in my life and etc. said, well, let's check chiropractic. He said, okay, here's the criteria they used when they tested chiropractic against the rest of these healthy and cancer people. That they had to be under chiropractic care for a minimum of 5 years with a visit frequency of no less than once a month. They didn't care if you smoked, you drank, you were an alcoholic, a drug addict, that you had major chronic degenerative disease. They didn't care. They didn't care if you had a family history of cancer. Didn't matter. So they tested the first 2 people. They tested a 26-year-old chiropractor whose dad was a chiropractor, so she had had chiropractic from birth on. And the second one was a 65-year-old chiropractor who at 40 had a chiropractic miracle and began chiropractic care and became a chiropractor. Well, they tested them twice because they said these results are so far off from what we've seen that we have to have more. So they ended up testing a couple different times, had 100 different chiropractors and chiropractic patients that fit into that category. And when they first looked at oxidative stress, they found out that the chiropractic group had a 200% greater oxidative stress response, had a 200% better autoimmune index response than the healthy people. And what do you think that the long-term effect of chiropractic had on the immune system? Yeah, they showed that the youngest in the group, the 26-year-old chiropractor, and there was a 92-year-old lady in that group study also, they could not see any difference in the immune competency in anybody. Everybody functioned at a high level, almost like it doesn't even deteriorate. So now we know chiropractically, and it's been confirmed by the research community in the medical profession, that they don't even call it a nerve system or an immune system. they call it a neuroimmune system because there's such an intimate relationship between the two that as goes one, so goes the other. So when people are sick, that's the time that they need the chiropractic adjustment the greatest to give their immune system a boost by increasing the competency of their nerve system.
So true, so true. And getting a hold
Yeah.
of those kids young, you got to look at this comment here. And I love like my granddaughter, if she wakes up with an earache, she's like, "I need Dr. Tracy and grandma." She doesn't even mess around with it.
Yeah. Yeah, when I have my grandkids love being in my office and stuff, and I have my right now our 5-year-old granddaughter. If she's ever with me in the office and stuff, she's got to stand right between me and the patient, and she holds the skin marking pencil while I examine the patient, and then she marks it. And now she's at the point where she helps Grandpa give Grandma or Daddy or Mommy their adjustment.
Well, that's good. So you do
So,
have some mentors
you,
coming up. We need to hear this.
yeah. See, I look at it, that when I was a kid, and I remember sitting in the chiropractor's reception room one time, and I looked at my teenage sister. I said, "What are we doing here? My back doesn't hurt. I don't have a headache." And my teenage sister, in her wisdom, said, "Duh, figure it out, little brother." And I said, "Oh, that's why we're here, because I don't want a headache. I don't want my back to hurt." So
Yes,
does
I
it
agree.
correct everything? There's a thing called limits of matter. That if too much tissue damage is done, there's only so much good you can do, but there's still the ability to restore, repair, and recover better function, which equates that it's going to give you a better chance to adapt to whatever comes down the pipe. Yeah.
Any more questions? You guys get in the comments. I love this open discussion. Dr. Tracy, tell us more about what the first visit looks like with you. I know we need to come to Glendive because the x-rays and your thermal scan, you haven't mentioned that. And then you come to Sydney every other Thursday.
Yes. Yep. We don't have a mobile X-ray machine, so we have to do our initial analysis of patients here in Glendive, and also our diagnostic equipment. I've been trying to get it to work, bring it with me so I can at least do the exam with the instrumentation in Sydney, but I haven't got that figured out yet.
Well, the
So
drive to
got to do
Glendive
all that
is worth it.
here.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
why? Tell us again.
it's
Like
worth it.
I've been to
Well,
other
look.
chiropractors.
So I go before my little brother. When I have a little brother that's a chiropractor in Williston, and he's only a part-time chiropractor now because he got tired of dealing with paperwork and all that other crap. So he just works after hours for people that really want to get a chiropractic adjustment. But before he quit, he was a teacher for a while. And while he was teaching, he couldn't get together. So I drive 100 miles one way to get my adjustment once a week. And when my mentor was still alive in Billings, I'd drive 220 miles every 2 weeks to get my adjustment. So it's not a big deal. I had for up until about 7 or 8 years ago, I had a gentleman that was a patient of mine that started out, he's from Sydney, a horse rancher and stuff, and he come to Glendive to get his adjustments every week. And then he moved to Rapid City. So then he for about 10 or 12 years, once a month, sometimes every 3 weeks, he would drive up to Glendive, show up on a Monday or a Tuesday evening, get an adjustment. Wednesday, the next day, get an adjustment in the morning and the evening, and then the following day, get an adjustment in the morning and then leave. and I tried to give him to other chiropractors in the Rapid City area, and he said, none of them do what you can do, Doc. He said,
I,
I'm just going to
I
keep coming.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
So I don't have that to bring up on this screen to let everybody know, but you have a website. It is simply Gabbert Chiropractic, right? Is what your website is?
Yeah. It's Glendive Chiropractor.
Okay.
GlendiveChiropractor.com.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And you are
Let me see if I can
taking
put
new
it. Can
patients?
I
Are
put
you
it
take
in a post? Can I do a comment?
Yeah, go for it. And you are taking new patients? Yes?
Okay.
Dr. Gabbert, do you have room for
I'll
new
put my
patients?
website in there.
Okay. All right. And I went ahead and I did the drawing. So our drawing for this hour, the winner is Michelle Sievertson. So I will be getting a hold of all the prize winners at the end of the week. Hopefully the winners can drop in. You're from Watford City, so yeah, hopefully you can drop in, but I am willing to do some
There you
shipping
go.
for sure. There he goes.
I
He's got
forgot the
that
dot
in the
between the
comments.
W's.
Let's see. Jen's got a comment here before we wrap up.
Do I have a good one-liner to describe chiropractic? Well, I think the best one-liner that people can do to those that are skeptic is you just tell them it's not how you feel, it's how you function that matters. And if your brain and your body can't communicate the way it was programmed, designed, you're not going to have the best health you've ever had.
And it is hard. I hear what Jen's saying because there it, there are many different ways of chiropractic, and there's people who aren't like you who have made people shy of chiropractors. So
Mhm.
sometimes it's just our testimonies, Jen. We have to keep telling our story, and we have to
Mhm.
we just have to keep talking. We have to keep communicating with people.
Mhm. Yeah. So
Right.
the power that
Right.
made the
And
body heals the body, works no other way. And
yes,
our power and our
absolutely.
energy comes from our brain. If the brain can't get that message, you're going to be susceptible to all kinds of issues.
Yes, yes. I want to thank you so much for being here with us, Dr. Gabbert. We will be hearing
Amen.
from you in the future. I hope you'll have some people knocking on your door
Yeah.
with solvable problems that you can help them out with.
Yeah. So it's the thing. And I'm gonna talk about you for a second. So
Ooh,
as you know, that it's a little over a month ago that we got together and discussed how I was going to get rid of the chronic infection that lives in my body. Because back in
yeah.
1996, I had a significant health challenge and I developed a massive strep infection, spent 52 days on IV antibiotics, three of those great big bags, and it never ever completely rid my body of the infection. And so for the last 15 plus years, I've had a chronic cough with phlegm all day long, every day. And with the protocol that Nurse Tanya has got me on, in less than 2 weeks, the cough is almost non existent. Thank you.
Awesome.
So,
That is
yeah, there's lots of
awesome.
other things. Chiropractic's important, but like I said from the get go, you got to exercise, you got to have good mental attitude, and you got to eat quality food.
Yeah, and isn't that
So,
something? And just, not to give too much information, we did a stool test that led to your cough being better. You didn't have any gut symptoms. So, oh man,
mhm,
I love that. I missed you the last time you stopped in the store, so I was wondering what your updates were.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome,
Remember,
awesome. We're
remember, symptoms are an indication it's already too late. The damage has already been done. So now you have to
agreed.
try to unwind. That's why it's easier to stay healthy than to try and get healthy.
Yeah. Ah, that's so good. So I'm looking for Dr. Melody Keller. I have her next, and she hasn't showed up yet. So I just texted her. I wanna maybe she didn't get the link. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and close you out, Dr. Gabbert. I'm gonna put on my little
Okay,
commercial here and wait for Melody. This is a good time for me to take a bathroom break. Thank you so much.
you bet. I'm glad to be a part of this community.
We're so thankful for you. All right, thank you everybody. Let me get rallied back here. Let me clear this comment. Oh, that was so good from Dr. Gabbert. I just love that guy. He's been such a blessing in our life. I was referred to him by a client of mine who had been seeing him for years. I couldn't believe that I had lived in Sydney for that long and had never heard of him. He'd been coming to Sydney every other week, every other Thursday forever. So that is what's so important about the way that we share, the way that we refer. Word of mouth is still the absolute best way of finding anything out. So my next guest is another person that I collaborate with that I cherish as a professional and as our friendship grows. She is one of my somebody that you can trust. If you have been in that medical system and your trust has been broken, people like Dr. Melody Keller are absolutely priceless. When I have clients that come in with complex needs beyond what my skills as an RN and a functional provider require, Melody is my first referral. It's her name that is on my prescriptions. She's helping me get my autoimmune disease, my Hashimoto's, under control. She is that voice in the dark. Her experience along all walks of helping individuals. She does consider herself an expert in some areas, but she is willing to jump in and meet people's needs, your whole family. So, welcome to the stage, Dr. Melody Keller.
Hi, Tanya. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so glad you're here.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I got to listen in to Dr. Gabbert a little bit on the last last little bit, so that was good. Sorry, I apparently clicked the wrong link and had me hanging out in the wrong waiting room. So we're here, we're good to go. So I have a PowerPoint tonight, and hopefully it'll get to load. Ooh, look at that! There it is. Oh, can you turn off the little comment thingy? I might kind of. Perfect. Thanks. All right. So, as Tanya mentioned, I do specialize in autoimmunity, and particularly rheumatoid arthritis is kind of my keystone thing. But I do work with a lot of different conditions, and that's me. I was out hiking in the Red Rock Canyon somewhere. It was pretty cool. So my goal is to help you get back to doing the things you like to do, whether it's hiking or getting down and playing with your grandkids. That would be really great. So I want to help you regain your energy, get rid of pain, and be able to live, do your own thing, and not be stuck. So let's see. How do I move through the slides? It's not wanting to advance. There we go. Figured it out. Okay, so some of the things we'll talk about, and I'll try not to be too wordy, but please feel free to leave some comments or questions there. So what is autoimmunity? The fact that healing is possible. I'll create a customized plan that actually works, how you can apply it to yourself, and then there's some time for questions at the end. So if you've got some, I'm happy to address them. Okay, you're not alone. This is super common. Autoimmunity, which I don't even know that I like the term, to be honest with you, but everybody struggles. Heck, I've had some struggles with a weird health condition myself, and so it's just how it goes, but we can correct it. So you don't have to have chronic pain, persistent fatigue, brain fog, gut issues, not able to eat your food, constant bloating, all the things. It's super common. You're not alone, and you don't have to struggle forever with this. So conventional care, and I'm not against it. I got to say, there's places where it fits in, but I've watched a lot of people struggle through and not get the help they need, working with doctors who don't understand. And a lot of rheumatologists do not really understand or appreciate what I can do, and it goes against all the things they learned in medical school. So in traditional rheumatology, they're going to suppress your symptoms with steroids. That's going to be probably first line is some prednisone or something like it. Chemo drugs are super common also, methotrexate being one of them. Old school drugs, they used heavy metals, they used things like penicillamine, which were really toxic. And nowadays there's biologics, and you see the commercials for those all the time on TV. And if you listen to the things at the bottom, it's talking about, oh, this may cause cancer, and you don't take it if you've had tuberculosis. Well, I mean, who has tuberculosis nowadays, really. But I'm not really keen on getting more, more infections and making myself sick. That said, it does restore some people's lives. It can be really helpful in, excuse me, in a lot of cases. So there's places for this, but I have a totally different approach. I'm looking at, root cause, and we hear that all over the place, but really, what's behind it? Why are you sick? And how can we address the whole body? You're not a collection of bits and pieces. You're a whole body that's all interconnected. Everything is connected by your nervous system and by your blood system, all the organs working together. So we got to take that into account. We got to treat the affected systems because disease affects different people different ways. Some have more problems with joints, some have hormone problems, gut problems, sleep problems, all the things. So we use a lot of different tools. Some nutrition, we focus some on the nervous system, emotions, herbal, all the things. So whatever it's going to take, we can do that. And if I can't do it all myself, I'm refer you to whoever is. I work mostly online. So if you're in Montana, North Dakota, by all means, go see Dr. Gabbert. He can help. All right. So what is this going to look like? Here's your before and afters. Being in pain, not feeling well, unable to function, you can't move, your joints are getting destroyed, etc. Or the other side, pain-free movement, clearer mind, thinking, being able to sleep, having your energy. That's the difference between getting up in the morning and being able to take care of your kids, do your homeschooling or your business or your laundry and fold it and not have pain. Whatever the case may be, it could be anything. But these are the things, this is what we want. We want to move from before to after and then maintain it. So autoimmunity, here's just kind of a picture of what we're looking at. Really, there's probably a whole lot more things that go into this, and the size doesn't really indicate much of anything as far as how much communicates with creating it. I don't even know that I really agree with the whole term autoimmunity, which is saying your body's attacking itself. Well, maybe not. Gut problems feed into it, your genes feed into it, infections, toxins, all of these pieces, but your body's trying to do what it's designed to do. It's trying to heal, but there's all these things blocking it. So we want to remove the roadblocks, fill in the potholes in the road, and see if we can't drive that car a little bit more smoothly. A lot of what we'll focus on tonight is infection, because what I've found via a lot of reading and research and patient treatment is that this is a huge piece of what's going on, and it affects everything else here. So, hidden infections. Now, this is a picture of the Mycoplasma bacteria. There are, I think, a couple hundred species of these, and the most frequently known is called Mycoplasma pneumonia because it causes pneumonia, walking pneumonia in particular, which I had a case of that back in college. That was pretty miserable. And yes, I could walk, but I wasn't really getting anywhere too fast either. You can catch it anywhere, hospitals, bugs, other people. This stuff, it's, pardon me, I'm still getting an occasional cough from a sickness I had back in December. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Like I said, hospitals, bugs, Mycoplasma is known to be a co-infection with Lyme disease, but it can occur on its own too. So here's some more of the bacteria. These are teeny tiny. They don't have a cell wall. They're not like your most gram-positive or gram-negative. And we can get into all the the details, but the point is they're tiny. You can fit thousands in a red blood cell, where some other bugs like Bartonella, you can get about 9. These are teeny. They hide. They use your body's own mechanisms to hide in your cells and in your joints and all these places. Now, most people can get rid of this. If you've got a healthy immune system, you're going to get rid of it. You're not going to get pneumonia and have this stuff last forever. But if you've already got some other underlying health conditions, you're prone to it, you've got issues and things going on, it can hide, it can stay there, and it can affect a lot of different places in joints, and it's known to create rheumatoid arthritis. So one of the treatments that's really helpful is actually antibiotic treatment. And there's a number of antibiotics that are useful here, but I use them in IVs for my patients. And it has been really helpful, whether you've had the infection for decades or for months, it really helps. And one of the docs who was pioneering in this treatment, it started with Dr. Brown back in the 1950s. I forget his first name, but anyway, I'll give you some book recommendations here. And Dr. Sinnott, who lived in Iowa, was one of the pioneering doctors with that. And I got a chance to meet him and work with him for a week about 10 years ago. He's since passed on, but I got to work with him, and he was working with people with all kinds of immune diseases. Even I think the other patient that I was there, well, he started while I was there, had fibromyalgia, which is not your traditional autoimmune condition, but it responded as well. So you can read more about him and about Dr. Brown, the book called The New Arthritis Breakthrough. It's a fantastic book. It's old. It's on Amazon. It's cheap, but I highly recommend it because it's got lots of patient stories in there, and it explains how science went to the suppress it versus the treat it with antibiotics, which nowadays most docs think you're strange, which is so much fun because I get to do it anyway. I do also use some oral antibiotics with it once in a while. It just kind of depends. And of course, oral antibiotics have a lot more potential side effects over the IVs, and you have to use them for much longer. So sorry, but still useful. And generally speaking, when I do the IVs, you get some pretty rapid results. I've got a story coming for you later, but yeah, you can use it for lupus, scleroderma. Dr. Sinnott had a case of a patient who came. Scleroderma is a case where your everything's turning to scar tissue in your skin, and you slowly just kind of tighten up everywhere. It's really terrible. And he worked with a patient, and she was in the last stages of it, gave her the treatment, and it resolved the scleroderma. I think she had like a postage stamp left of scleroderma skin. So this is pretty amazing stuff that you can do. So a friend of mine, her name is Heather. She's 44, as you can see here. I don't have a picture, and I'm sorry I don't have a video for you. One of these days I'll have some video with her telling her own story. But she started getting in a ton of pain, got all these labs done. She's got a bunch of underlying chronic conditions, but her doctors diagnosed her with rheumatoid arthritis. Well, I helped because I looked at the labs, and it was kind of on the border, and some things were positive and some things weren't, but her symptoms were not borderline. She could barely function. She couldn't get up off the couch. I mean, the pain was so bad. She was just crying. And gosh, that's just an awful place to be. She's got kids, it's no good. So I ordered some tests. We ordered the whole panel Lyme and all the co-infections. We got all these tests. The only one that was positive was mycoplasma. And I went, yep, that's about what I expected. No Lyme, cool. But we kind of treat them all differently, but it's kind of a big category there. They all hang out together. So after that, excuse me, it took about a month or so, and we got her out and did the IV therapy on her. Now, by the time she made it to me, she had gone from being able to walk the last time I had seen her, just a few months before this diagnosis, to by the time she got to me, we were thinking she might be headed for a wheelchair. She was walking with 2 crutches that went around her forearms and could not do stairs, could barely move, was in constant pain, couldn't sit anywhere, lie down in any position without pain. So we started the treatment, and like I said, I do a course of 10, so I do 2 per day for 5 days. So on day 1, after the first treatment, her back was less stiff. She could sit more comfortably. Second IV that night, she felt better. She got up the stairs, went to bed, got up the next morning, and felt a lot better. After the third IV, she didn't need the crutches anymore. They just sat there completely unused. And after the end of treatment, and she didn't go back to them. By the time she left, I had to remind her to take her crutches with her. She was walking. She was cooking. She wasn't crying. She wasn't in pain. This stuff works really fast. and it lasts. We do other things as well, because this is not an entire treatment in and of itself. But I've had other patients tell me, it's like having a fire extinguisher putting out a fire in my joints. I can live now. And that was in November. She's still doing well. And we're continuing to work on all the other things as well. So it's amazing. It was just really wonderful to watch that fast of an improvement. Okay, so also we have environment and toxic triggers. There's some 80,000 or more industrial chemicals that have been approved that are out there. We can't even measure them all in the blood. And frankly, I wouldn't want to. That's just too scary. We've got radioactivity, heavy metals. It's everywhere. The Fukushima disaster, that streamed, and actually a lot of that landed in Idaho in a city near me, but it just kind of how the jet stream went. You've got all of that stuff from all the bomb testing, and I don't know about all of that, but radiation's everywhere. And there's people in the Wisconsin area. It's known as the radium belt. So it's kind of everywhere. It creates all sorts of problems. And of course, chronic pesticide exposure, which, you all live in the ag region, and so do I. I have crops just across the street from me. So we all get glyphosate exposure. We all have it. And that stuff creates major problems. So that, opens the gut and feeds the bad guys. It's just no good. So the gut, obviously everybody knows this is a major problem. You can have gut symptoms or leaky gut. The glyphosate, the Roundup, creates leaky gut, and it makes you more sensitive to things like gluten, which are a problem. And doesn't help that wheat is sprayed with glyphosate before harvest, and it stays on there. It's got a really, really long half-life. It's everywhere. So toxins get in, they create leaky gut. Food passes through without being fully digested, and you start reacting to bananas and rice and blueberries and whatever things that you normally eat on a daily basis. They start to make you sick, creating their own groupings of inflammation and pain, and making this whole problem worse. So that's something, excuse me, that we also address. This is one of my other patients. Her name is Anita. She had rheumatoid arthritis for, 55, 56 years. She was diagnosed in college, clearly long before I met her. Tons of medications. She had a 20-year period where she'd found herbs and nutrition and started working with Shackley. She had it for a long time. And when I started working with her probably 14 years ago, it was a couple years in, her eyes started getting involved. And that's usually a sign that it's getting really bad, and usually it leads to blindness. So her eye doctor put her on a mega dose of prednisone. And at that point, I was figuring out the background on the herbs that are useful for this condition. So I formulated some herbal tincture and got her on it. The inflammation went away. Her eye doctor was impressed. He'd never seen that get better like that. And he just told her to, whatever she was doing, just stick with it. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get her off of the prednisone, and it created all the problems that prednisone does. But it was necessary. And many of you, I'm sure, possibly knew her. And she passed away this last July. And I miss her. She was an amazing lady. But I had the privilege of helping her feel better. She always told me that when we would do her IVs, that it made her feel like she didn't have arthritis. She still had other things and symptoms, the joint damage and lots that didn't go away, but she really would feel better. So we kept that going regularly. And I'd like to think that I helped her to live a bit longer, because she was a good friend. And that's how that goes. So anyways, that's a little bit of her story. Here's some of the books I was telling you about. So the one on the left is called The New Arthritis Breakthrough. That's the one, excuse me, I'm so sorry, that I was mentioning. And it has the stories in there. It explains this treatment a lot more in depth. I don't think he really mentions the IVs in there particularly. It's been a few years since I read it. Might be mentioned. And then this Healing Lyme Disease, this author, he's very scientific, reads all the papers. It's very in detail and in depth. And this is where I learned a lot of the different herbs that I use. And we're not talking like your standard herbs like echinacea and all that. We're looking at herbs that are hard to pronounce and hard to find. Things like hutainia and seta and ascites and a bunch of others. So it's a really good book. Highly recommend if you're looking for a very scientific reference. They're all on Amazon, so it's easy to get to. All right, so we want to go on a journey. This a nice picture to kind of give us an idea. You know, it's got twists, it's got turns. There's steps along the way. We do a first visit. We figure out where we're going. We stick with it. And, you know, when there's bumps, when we're hiking uphill, there's rocks, there's pebbles. You know, it's not a straight uphill climb. We've got switchbacks. Things happen. I'm going to walk with you all the way through that to correct these things and help this move forward. And this is a slide from one of the companies I work with. And if you think of the body as a funnel, and you got to be able to empty it. Your colon's at the bottom. It needs to be functioning. It really has to work so that you can eliminate the toxins. You have to be able to get it out, or it builds up and then it goes into your liver, which is where your chemicals, your toxins are being processed and dumped. And when that doesn't work, it goes to your kidneys, it goes to your lungs, it creates skin conditions. So many rashes are created by gut conditions. It's not even funny. Your lymphatic system, so they're backing up higher and higher and higher. Your lymphatic system is all over your whole body. Obviously, organs, you've got tissues. Your brain has its own kind of glymphatic system, and that only is assembled and functional when you're sleeping at night. It all organizes itself when you're sleeping and then floats away so they can do their other functions during the day. So it's huge. Your cells, having energy to run your cells. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So we don't want this bucket to fill up. We don't want it leaking out the sides. We want it to drain out the bottom efficiently and have all the energy to run these functions. So this is something that we work on and correct. This is a piece of how we do that. These phases are kind of the steps that I follow more or less to help the body function. And the reason that I have this is because this actually works better. As I'm putting together this treatment that I've been working on with patients for over 14 years, this is what I found not only helps you get better, but stops having all of the major side effects, the Herx reactions that you may have heard of or experienced, because this helps the body in an order that healing can happen. So this is kind of where we go with that. And if you want copies of these things, I have the diagrams. I can send you to the websites. We can get those. So the first step, drain and fuel the body. Remember that funnel? Excuse me. We want to get the stuff out. We got to plumb it. We got to get that stuff moving outward. Huge thing, because if you can't do that, everything just makes you feel worse. You've got mitochondria. They have to power your cells. They are part of your immune system. It's a major thing. But if your car doesn't have any gas, you're not going anywhere. You got to clean out the gummed up fuel. And I talk like I'm a mechanic. I don't know anything, but it's close enough. So we work on that. We give you some energy. We put some fuel in the system, start things working. Step 2, we're going to clean out the gut. We got to take parasites out of there. We're going to continue providing energy, but I'm telling you, if you've got a pulse, you probably have parasites. I did. Been there, done that. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. I always try and remember better out than in. But what does this have to do with rheumatoid arthritis? Parasites don't cause that. Yeah, not really. But here's the thing. Parasites act as sponges. Viruses can live in there. Bacteria can live in there. They're repositories for radiation and heavy metal. In fact, there's people that have failed treatment for heavy metal removal because they didn't know about the parasites, and the parasites hold on to that stuff. It also goes into your bones. So we want to get rid of those because we don't want sponges of toxicity sitting around holding on to stuff and then removing it and flashing it out periodically. That's just not so good. So it's a little gross to think about, but better out than in. And we're going to keep putting energy in to help your body create the fuel, burn the fuel, and remove the toxins. And in this case, the parasites go first because we don't want them hanging around. So then we start with house cleaning. We're removing parasites. We got several different blends, formats that we do that. We want to lower the bucket level because we've got the funnel, but it's kind of a bucket, and if you overfill a bucket and it's got leaks in it, it's making a mess everywhere. You've got inflammation and your symptoms are overflowing bucket. So we want to clean it out and make it work so that bucket carries energy and all the good things, and all the yucky stuff goes. Step 4, we're going to support the immune system. You've got infections. Some of them might be Lyme, Bartonella, Mycoplasma, who knows? There's a ton of stuff there. We can test for some of it. We can question for some of it. We can get a pretty good idea. Yeah, lab testing is sometimes a little bit iffy. Sometimes you get good results. Sometimes not so much. So we start removing heavy metals and toxins. We start removing radiation. We've got special binders to do that. And Tanya knows exactly what I'm talking about. And we're going to seed the gut with good bacteria. You got to, kill the weeds in the lawn and then plant some good grass seed. And some of that seed actually helps kill the weeds. So it all works together. Step 5. Going to keep going. There's infections. In fact, there's 4 months worth of this that helps clear out the different targeted infections. The IVs can be a part of this. We kind of plug and play that in wherever it works, if it's applicable. Not everybody needs it. So we want to make sure, the cells and organs, they're kind of at the top of the bucket. We want to make sure they're working. So we're going to clean them out, get your organs functioning again. And this requires different things. We talk about different diets for anti-inflammatory. We're going to, use some prescription meds, lots of herbs, lots of supplements as appropriate. I mean, there's lots of room for things. What symptoms are you having? We'll address that as we go through, because your body may need certain things. Certain bugs attack things differently. And sometimes it takes more than just me. And that's good. We can all work together on that. Step 6, we're going to optimize. Now this process, I got to give it at least a year. You may see some rapid improvements. Maybe it's a little slower, but usually when I get people on treatment, you start feeling better in that first month. The IVs is a matter of days, a day or two, and that can be really appropriate. But we got to build on that and grow from there. So we want to give it at least a year, because you might develop symptoms quickly, but you didn't grow the disease in a week. So here's some of the things that you can expect. A significant decrease in pain, which also leads to sleeping better because you're not tossing and turning, which gives you more energy during the day to accomplish things. And if you're not in pain, you can get down and do things. You can think clearly when your brain's not racked with, trying to figure out how to make something stop hurting. And we're actually working on healing the tissues. We don't want to just stop the joint damage, which obviously we do, of course, but we want to help it heal. That's where we can use some things like some of the peptides. We can use an immune system stimulating. There's lots of things. And I'm not talking about specific tools, because really that's just, well, who cares what the tools are? We'll work with the ones that we need, but the point is to get the results. Okay, so whoa. Okay, this is not where we're supposed to be. Tanya, help. Okay, so 3 steps. For people that are listening to this webinar, I'll do the intake visit for $97. I usually charge $290 for your first hour-long visit, but if you are on here and you're hearing this, you can call my staff and let them know. That way, when we get down to the end, we'll know to put that on a special. I will get all the info, whatever labs you have. We can order anything in the gap. We create your personalized protocol, and then we've got ongoing support for a year. So initially we visit more frequently. You've got access. We can do questions. It just takes a lot to get it kind of going. So we make sure that that's all available. And cost-wise, I've got the 12-month program. I'm charging $99.97 to cover all that and your initial labs. And here where I've got the price kind of looks terrible for core supplements. It really isn't. It's for a year. it's to be determined, really. That's on the like the very highest end of how things would work, but I don't include it in with the program because we want to make sure that I'm not charging more than what you actually need. We're figuring out what works for you. So that's just like a super high end number that you probably shouldn't pay much attention to. The antibiotic IVs, like I said, they're optional. They can be really helpful for the people that need them. That's $3,000 plus. Your insurance usually will cover the medications. Sometimes insurance will cover it. It just kind of depends on how that goes. But that's an in-person treatment, so there's the travel and the scheduling that goes into that as well. And that's supposed to be skipped. I don't want that slide. I don't know why. Okay, there we go. So did I get to the right one? No, sorry. My apologies. I skipped some of those and then didn't quite delete them like I should have. So if you want to get on track, if you want your life back so you're not stuck struggling with Lyme, mycoplasma, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, all these things, let me help you. That is what I'm here to do. That is the thing that I really like doing. That's the specialty, and that's what I like to see, to work with. Works the same, Hashimoto's, all of the different bits and pieces. These are diseases that you can overcome. You can work with it, and that's what I like to help people with. This is the contact information. Tanya's got my phone number. It's got my website there. And that phone number will get a hold of my scheduling staff where you can actually schedule an appointment. And if you've got questions, you can email me directly. That is my direct email. So feel free to do that. And
Melody, this was
we already
so
know about the next
great.
steps. Well, thanks.
You did
And then
such a good
there's
job.
me and the kids.
Any
Oh,
questions?
thank you. I'm glad.
Let's
I
get
hopefully
some
I
questions. Melody does a great presentation, but she answers questions even better. So make sure you get in the
thanks.
comments. Maybe you know somebody with chronic issues. A lot of the things that she described, that might be new to your ears. I had, in this area, we had gone, my granddaughter was full of bug bites, and that's when that that first dose of antibiotic might keep her from having active Lyme symptoms when she's 30, right? That's my thought as a grandma. And we took her into the clinic, and that provider there told me that Lyme disease didn't exist in Montana. So there are these things there. This might be new, Melody, to a lot of people's ears. So I know when I do bioenergetic testing that we see all these things on an
Mhm.
energetic level. Sometimes they don't show up. Lyme disease can be
Mhm.
super hard to diagnose, even by blood, and it can be in remission. Just like Hashimoto's, you can feel good, and then all of a sudden these things flare up. So speak to that a little bit more casually about what are some of these chronic symptoms, like what do people that need to come and see you feel like? What are they going through?
Yeah, pain's a big one, especially with rheumatoid arthritis, which is kind of the keystone autoimmune disease I look at. But I see a lot more with thyroid issues than I do with that, for whatever reason. But pain, fatigue is a huge one. I've helped a lot of people with fibromyalgia, so that chronic muscle pain and no energy, and I've helped a lot of people get up off the couch and back to life. So those are the big ones, and the energy drain, and that is huge, and it comes from a lot of different places. But
It's
energy
that.
and pain are some of the biggest ones. Yeah.
I like my definition of autoimmune disease. One, I get to cussing a little bit, and I say that's bullshit, right? Your body is
Yep.
not attacking itself. That's absolute BS from the pit of lying hell. Your
Yeah.
body, my body, your body, everybody listening, your body is desperately trying to protect itself from something that should not be in it, right? It's not
Yeah.
attacking
Yep.
itself. We were beautifully and wonderfully made. So things like that, I get on my soapbox. I do want the MonDak to know, in the comments we've been talking about where you live and you're talking about IVs. So Melody and I work hand in hand, and she still serves the MonDak through telehealth. And if you have got somebody that is in trouble, that has got some of this autoimmune disease, that knows that they can heal, that is looking for different answers, at Awaken Wellness we can do the IV part. We still, Melody's still here, loud and proud to serve the MonDak. She has prescription. She can prescribe here. She helped me get my thyroid ultrasounded. We've got resources when we pull together, to do things differently. We have resources for all this, so don't get worried if you're like, what, how are we going to work with her? She doesn't live here in this state. That is why we're here. That's why we're doing this summit, is to pool our resources. It's like a smorgasbord. Everybody brings something unique to the table that can help your loved ones.
Yeah. And I do make trips to Montana. So that's, I still have a lot of friends there. So I love to come out and visit. And so that's not an impossibility. I've worked out of Tanya's office a bunch of times, and will continue to do so because it just works really well. And she can offer the in-person things that I can't. I do have availability. I have an office here that I occasionally use. So you could come to Idaho and get treatment here. It's just, it's not too far. Airplane wise, it takes a couple of transfers. I've flown in through Williston and wherever, Billings. I've flown the little bitty plane lots of times, but most of what I do is done online. It's very easy to actually do that. And so nowadays we've got the nice combination and options. So you can see me right from your living room, because some days when you're in pain, you don't want to go anywhere. In fact, I've been fighting my own version of not autoimmune, but some kind of weird diagnosis. I couldn't walk for a few days. I spent a few good days in a chair with my feet up because they were swollen. And now, I've got some things. So I'm right there in it with you, fighting along, trying to, maintain my own health. I've got, help my folks and lots of people. So
What I love about collaboration with you is, especially when I have somebody that comes in and well, I want to get off of these medications. What can I quit? What can I do? I don't want to talk to my normal doctor. And I always say, well, I'm going to give you Melody's number, because I, as an RN, that is out of my scope of practice to tell you what to do with your medications. But I know somebody who can.
I do it all the time. I'm working a number of patients off of all kinds of meds. We work blood pressure meds, statins. In fact, here's most people, and again, you can't take this as medical advice because I'm not actually your doctor unless I actually am. And maybe I know a few of you. You can stop them. They don't do much good. They just damage a lot of things. And there's some research showing that since those started going so heavy, dementia rates have gone up. Now, is that a cause or correlation? Don't really know. But those are things that you can come off of. And psychiatric meds, I've got nutrients that I'm using to help people get off of those. So you can ditch the antidepressants. Now, don't stop these. There's ways to do this.
Make the appointment first. Make the appointment first. Yeah.
We can do that. And one thing I forgot to say that's a really cool hack, if you've got rheumatoid arthritis, if you think you might have a mycoplasma infection, one of the best remedies that you can do at home to at least start working on that is pomegranate juice. It is anti-mycoplasma. And it tastes good, as opposed to the herbal tinctures that I will make for you. They don't taste good. I've tried them. They're not lovely. But
I've tried them. They're not lovely.
No. But, you just chugging it, chug some. You're not taking more than a teaspoon, tablespoon. And then just chug your pomegranate juice after that. Tastes much better.
And the thing is, there's been, I think honestly that you were really brave just to come right out front and say what the cost of some of this is. It can cost a lot to get your life back. But what is your life worth? We have to come to the point where we know what we're worth. I um part of this MonDak program, originally I had a ticket price on it, and I lifted the ticket to boost the sales. We're kind of ahead of ourselves. Not everybody was ready for this, but I hope in the future to have a scholarship program, to have a nonprofit, so we can help people and they can apply for a scholarship, and the foundation can write a check to Melody to help cover some of those expenses. Melody does do some coding, so you can turn your things into your insurance and you can see what happens. Myself, I've grown to be pretty anti insurance. I'm not going to wait around and let them tell me what I get, right? I'm going to take that money that I'd spend on insurance and I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to buy good supplements and I'm going to buy organic food. So, yeah, we really have to work on people's mindset and their perspective and investing in their health. It's the biggest investment you'll ever make. Of course, we want to be proactive and try to help people not get into a chronic place. That's kind of my coaching place. That's where some of us coaches
Mhm.
come in a little bit to try to get you on like a diverted path before you
Yeah.
need the big
Yeah.
guns, before you need Melody and the IVs. But these are big things. They're really really big things. So Melody, thank you so much. It doesn't look like
Thank
there's
you.
any more comments. One thing I think we should clarify, you gave away that awesome promotion, that deal to work with
Mhm.
you, but this is going out on a replay. So
Sure. It
let's
counts. If you're
let's
on the replay and you watch it, that counts too.
Okay, that is a super generous offer, Melody. So that's amazing. And your heart is that big. We appreciate you so much. And
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you in my corner as my provider and to be able to collaborate and serve the MonDak side by side with you.
Absolutely. I lived there for 10 years and I'll always have a piece of that that stays with me.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Oh gosh, I did pretty good. I didn't get teared up. I can't believe how emotional I was last night and how emotional I continue to be. I'm so proud of the people who are showing up to be here in the comments and to watch. And I'm so proud of my fellow professionals that came on board with me, who gave my wild idea a chance. It means so much to me. I am stalling because I'm trying to get my note here out of my phone for our next awesome collaboration. I'll find it. I'll find it. We're going to be bringing up Samantha Holstetler. She is local to the MonDak. If I'm not speaking wrong, I do believe she grew up around the Glendive area. She's currently in Williston. Okay, I'm still stalling. I'm getting there. I'm still stalling. Okay, here we go. She is the founder of The Story of Our Lives. Her work is rooted in something that many of us are feeling right now: depletion. Not just physical exhaustion, but that deeper sense of running on empty while still trying to show up for everything. Samantha's path into this work wasn't by theory. It was forged through real life, through real losses, through real questions about why our system so often intervenes too late instead of helping people truly heal. Her story weaves together gut health, energy, mindset, and the belief that our bodies are designed to restore when given the right support. Today, she will be sharing using some slides to walk you through how energy impacts healing at a cellular level, how simple foundations can choose our outcomes without any hype, without trends, just listening to your body and honoring those warning signs. Bring up Miss Samantha.
Good evening. How are you?
We are good.
Sorry, I'm looking over at my screen because I have multiple screens happening here. So, good evening, everyone. I am so thrilled to be a part of this and collaborating. I'm super thrilled. Thank you for choosing to be here and spend your time focused on education, empowerment, and whole person wellness. We are living in a moment in history where people are waking up now more than ever to the reality that our healthcare system is not designed to support true health. It is designed to manage disease. It's fragmented, reactive, expensive, and often driven by fear. People are tired. They're tired of being told that their labs are normal while they don't feel normal. They're tired of chasing symptoms. They're tired of feeling like they have no options. This summit exists because people want something different. They want understanding, not fear. They want options and not ultimatums, and they want solutions that honor the whole human being. This is exactly why the story of our lives exists. Change doesn't happen alone. It happens when people come together with a shared purpose, and I'm both grateful and excited to be a part of that. The core problem with modern healthcare is that it looks at the body in pieces. Labs show numbers, imaging shows structure, symptoms describe experience, but the body doesn't work in silos. Stress impacts digestion, digestion impacts immunity, immunity impacts inflammation, inflammation impacts hormones, energy, mood, and cognition. And underneath it all sits the nervous system. Here's the truth that changes everything. Chemistry follows energy. Biology follows belief. And the body responds to the environment that it's given. When we ignore stress, grief, trauma, mindset, and nervous system regulation, and balance. This is not about being excels at acute and emergency care. Holistic and functional approaches excel at pattern recognition, prevention, and resilience. We need both. The goal is to help people understand that their body is not broken and that they have more influence over their health than they've ever been led to believe. This became very real for me during my own cancer diagnosis in 2021. What I experienced and what many people experience is a system driven by fear. From the moment that you hear the word cancer, the message is urgent, overwhelming. You must decide now. Time is of the essence. Endless appointments, scans, biopsies, labs, procedures, consultations. Very quickly, you're moving so fast that there's no space to pause and breathe or truly understand what's happening. What's missing is education. People are rarely given the tools or resources needed to make informed decisions. Instead, fear becomes the primary motivator, and fear is powerful. Here in the MonDak, that fear is compounded by real-life stress. Time off work, long-distance travel, housing, fuel, food, and medical expenses. And on top of all of it, let's not forget, we're not only managing our own emotions, but we're also ending up having to manage other people's emotions. And anyone with a serious diagnosis understands that. I tend to be fairly private. I didn't talk to a lot of people when I received my diagnosis in 21. I did spend a significant amount of time on my phone and my laptop researching anything and everything that I could get my hands on. When my sister Steph got her diagnosis, she shared with everyone, and she shared much of her journey with everyone. My family had a lot of questions about why I didn't share. And at the end of the day, different personalities handle things differently. I had no interest in hearing what everyone else's opinion was about what I should do with my body. After all, I'm the only one that has to live in. uh, all I needed to keep all of the loud voices at bay while I studied and went to numerous consultations and all the appointments and wrapped my head around what was happening and what I was going to do about it. There is not a right or a wrong. Every person has to decide for themselves what they can handle and how they want to proceed. Most people are never taught how much their daily choices influence how their body responds over time. When you get a cancer diagnosis, the common explanation, you're just unlucky. We don't really know what causes this. That narrative removes context and it removes personal influence. What rarely gets talked about is belief matters. The relationship between the heart and the brain affects the nervous system, stress, hormones, and the body's internal environment. What we believe about our body, our future, our faith, and ourselves shapes how the body responds. Your cells are literally listening. For example, it's incredibly hard to heal if you hate yourself or if you hate others. It's also incredibly hard to heal if you don't believe in the treatment that you're getting. Food matters. Highly processed foods and excess sugar contribute to inflammation and metabolic stress. Over time, that changes how the body functions and adapts. My grandparents grew up eating about 15 to 20 pounds of sugar a year. Today, we consume over 100 pounds annually, and much of it is hidden in processed foods. Seed oils like canola, soybean, corn, sunflower oil are highly processed and high in omega-6 fats. When consumed regularly in excess, they also contribute to inflammation and metabolic chaos, especially when they're not balanced with whole foods or omega-3 fats. Environmental exposure matters. The products that we have used for decades, lotions, cosmetics, cleaners, laundry detergents, dryer sheets, yard chemicals, all contribute to the total load that the body has to manage. Daily cosmetics and hair products often contain endocrine disruptors that can interfere with hormonal signaling over time. It's not about one product, it's about cumulative exposure and total load. None of this happens overnight, it's all cumulative. We don't judge smoking by one cigarette, we understand it by accumulation. The same is true for food, chemicals, alcohol, and stress. Over time, the total load changes how the body adapts. There is a gut-brain connection. The gut doesn't just digest food. It's a key neurotransmitter involved in mood, motivation, and emotional stability. It's produced in the gut, not in the brain. When the gut environment is irritated, inflamed, or under chronic stress, the signals sent to the brain change. That can show up in low mood, irritability, brain fog, difficulty focusing, or feeling mentally wired but still tired. The gut communicates with the brain in three main pathways: the vagus nerve, immune signaling, and neurotransmitter production. If digestion is disrupted, those signals can become distorted. Not because something is wrong, but because the communication loop is stressed. This is why many people notice that when their digestion is off, their mood, focus, and emotional regulation are off too. It's also why supporting the gut often leads to clearer thinking, steadier emotions, and better attention, even when mental health wasn't the goal to start. The brain doesn't operate in isolation. It responds to the information it receives from the gut all day, every day. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. When people understand how their choices, environment, stress, and beliefs interact with their biology, fear loosens its grip and clarity returns. The body isn't random, it's responsive. And when people understand that, they can participate in their health with more confidence, less fear, and better questions. Stress is not just what's happening to you. Stress is how the body interprets what's happening and then rehearses it. According to Joe Dispenza, when the brain repeatedly perceives a threat, whether real or imagined, it activates the same survival circuitry over and over, even when no immediate danger exists. This is when the domino effect begins. The brain sounds the alarm. The brain does not distinguish well between a physical threat, an emotional memory, a future worry, or a reoccurring negative thought. It also doesn't distinguish well between fiction and nonfiction. We constantly watch high-stress entertainment and media. We go from stressed out lives to stressed out entertainment, and the body never leaves fight or flight. When the same thoughts are repeated daily, the brain treats them as a current reality, activating the stress response as if the event is happening now. Your brain becomes a record of the past, according to Dispenza's research. Chronic stress equals chronic cortisol. Frequent activation of the stress response leads to persistent elevated cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, the body stays in survival mode. Energy is diverted away from repair, digestion, and regeneration. The nervous system loses flexibility and resilience. The body is no longer preparing for a short-term challenge. It's living in emergency mode 24/7. Cortisol reshapes the hormonal landscape. Chronic cortisol doesn't act alone. It influences sex hormones, thyroid signaling, insulin regulation, and inflammatory pathways. The body begins prioritizing survival over balance. In Dispenza's work, this is where thoughts become chemistry and chemistry becomes biology. Downstream systems feel the impact. When stress chemistry becomes the baseline, multiple systems are affected. Digestion slows, immune communication weakens, detox pathways become inefficient, sleep cycles are disrupted. Nothing is broken. The body is responding exactly the way it was designed to protect you. Symptoms appear not as failure, but as signals. Symptoms are not random or personal shortcomings. They're feedback loops, adaptation signals, and messaging asking for a new pattern. As Dispenza teaches, the body cannot heal in the same state of consciousness that created the imbalance. This means we have to be mindful of stinking thinking and intentional about stopping the negative loops that continue to play over and over in our heads. Your biology is not working against you. It's responding to repeated signals from the mind, environment, and the nervous system. Change that signal, and the body can change the stress response. This is where awareness, regulation, and intentional pattern breaking become the gateway to healing. There's a reason why this work matters so deeply to me. In addition to my own cancer experience, last winter, while my baby sister was in Phoenix receiving cancer care, my body started doing things that genuinely scared me. I was experiencing heart palpitations, shortness of breath, dizziness, lightheadedness, headaches, and a sore throat that would not go away. And then I developed a sebaceous cyst on my back. In the back of my mind was a fear that I didn't want to say out loud. What if my own cancer was coming back? 2025 was my 4-year mark, and they say statistically that it can come back in 5 years. So I did what most of us are trained to do. I went to the doctor looking for answers, expecting a diagnosis. We ran labs and more labs, and I was told, everything looks normal, you're fine. But I didn't feel fine. What I was experiencing was not a disease process. It was stress expressing itself physically. At that point, the worst had not happened yet. At that time, my baby sister was still alive. She was still fighting for her life, and the fear, uncertainty, and helplessness of that season were living in my body, whether I acknowledged it or not. Months later, the worst did happen. On June 11th, we lost her. Steph left behind a 3-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son. And being the oldest of 3 girls, it had always been my responsibility to take care of my sisters, to make sure that they were safe, and I had failed her. My nervous system was a wreck. Not only did I lose my baby sister, but my closest friend, and I was lost. Grief doesn't just live in the heart. It lives in the nervous system. It lives in tissues, and it lives in breath. Instead of chasing another diagnosis, I asked different questions. What does my nervous system need right now? I focused on regulation, breath work, tapping, meditation, being intentional with my food, using my vibration plate, using the cloud, not to fix myself, but to create safety again. And when the nervous system feels safer, the body stops shouting. That experience did not make me anti-medicine. It made me whole person minded. Because when we only look for disease, we miss the story that the body is trying to tell. Our role at the Story of Our Lives is to help people read the story, understand the patterns, and choose how the next chapter is written. We support the whole person through 3 integrated pillars: gut and mind data with coaching, nervous system and energy regulation, and sustainable access to healthcare options. Pillar number 1 is gut and mind data and coaching. We help people understand how their body is communicating with them and why the symptoms that they're experiencing didn't come out of nowhere. Most of us have been taught to think like this. You have a symptom, you see the doctor, you get a diagnosis, and you get a treatment. But that model skips a critical step. Symptoms are not the problem. They're a message. What we do is help decode that message. And here's the part that most people never hear. Band-Aid solutions that only suppress or eliminate symptoms don't help heal the body. They may quiet the signal, but they don't address why the signal is there in the first place. When the message is silenced without being understood, the underlying stressor doesn't disappear. It eventually shows up somewhere else or later in a louder way. The body is always trying to adapt and protect us. Our role is to help people listen, interpret what the body is communicating, and support it at the root so that true healing and regulation can actually occur. Excuse me, sorry. Your body is not a collection of separate parts doing their own thing. It's an interconnected system. Gut, brain, hormones, immune system, detox pathways, nervous system, all talk to each other constantly. When one area is under stress, it creates ripple effects everywhere else. So instead of asking, what diagnosis is this? We ask, what stressors are driving this pattern? That's the difference. We act like detectives, not labelers. We're not chasing disease names. We're looking for hidden stressors and metabolic chaos that slowly push the body out of balance over time. Things like chronic stress, blood sugar instability, gut dysfunction, inflammation, poor detox clearance, hormonal signaling issues, nervous system overload, environmental and lifestyle stress. These don't usually show up as a problem overnight. They stack quietly, sometimes for decades, until the body says, I can't compensate anymore. And that's when symptoms appear. Normal labs don't always mean you're fine. A big reason people feel stuck is because they're told your labs are normal, everything looks fine. But normal just means statistically average or common. It doesn't mean optimal. Normal ranges are based on population averages. As chronic illnesses increase, averages shift with it. Functional interpretation looks for optimal function, not just the absence of disease. The US spends more on healthcare than any other country, yet it ranks among the highest in chronic disease burden. Functional labs are used as feedback tools, not as diagnostic tools. They help us observe patterns, trends, adaptation, and stress responses. We're asking, is digestion efficient? Is the body clearing waste well? Is blood sugar stable? Is cortisol balanced? Are hormones communicating properly? Is the nervous system stuck in survival mode? We don't diagnose, we treat. We interpret patterns and educate the individual so that they can make the best choice for themselves. One of the most common labs that we use is the GI map. This looks at digestion, gut integrity, immune activity, and how well the body is handling microbes and inflammation. Your gut is not just about digestion, it's central to immunity, hormones, brain chemistry, detox, and inflammation control. If the gut is stressed, the whole system feels it. The second most common lab we use is the stress and hormone panel. This looks at cortisol rhythms, sex hormones, and how stress is impacting the body in a 24-hour cycle. Chronic stress doesn't just make you tired, it rewires physiology. It affects sleep, mood, blood sugar, weight, immunity, and inflammation. We're not asking, is this hormone high or low? We're asking, is the body adapting well, or is it barely hanging on? Why coaching is non-negotiable. Here's what some people don't realize. Stress is biological. Beliefs shape physiology. Thought patterns change chemistry. You can't supplement your way out of a dysregulated nervous system. So coaching is where real change happens. It helps people stop fearing their body, understand their stress patterns, build awareness, create sustainable habits, and restore trust in their own biology. This is not about perfection, it's about capacity, resilience, and regulation. We're not diagnosing disease, and we're not replacing medical care. We're not chasing symptoms. We're supporting the body's ability to do what it was designed to do: self-regulate, adapt, and heal when stressors are reduced and inputs improve. Most people don't need another label. They need clarity. They need to understand why their body is responding the way it is, why stressors are keeping it stuck, and how to work with their biology instead of fighting it. That's what we do. We help people move from confusion and fear to clarity, confidence, and understanding of their own body by reconnecting the gut, mind, and nervous system so the body can do its job again. Both energy and chemistry are important, but much of what we're learning about health today isn't actually new. It's being rediscovered and better understood. Books like The Biology of Belief, Molecules of Emotion, and PEMF, The Fifth Element of Health, all point to the same foundational truth. Our cells are highly responsive to energy and information, often before chemistry ever comes into play. Before the body changes chemically, it changes electrically. That order matters. Every cell in your body relies on an electrical charge. You can think of it as the cell's ability to send and receive signals. That electrical communication allows cells to coordinate, repair tissue, and move nutrients in and waste out, and respond to stress. This is how the nervous system works. This is how muscles contract. This is how the heart beats, and this is how healing begins. We measure electrical activity in modern medicine every day. EEGs measure electrical activity in the brain. EKGs measure electrical signals that coordinate each heartbeat. EMGs measure electrical activation in the muscle fibers. Notice what all of these measure first: not chemicals, electricity. When we talk about chemistry in the body, we're talking about nutrients, hormones, enzymes, neurotransmitters, vitamins, minerals, supplements, and medications. Chemistry provides the building blocks. but chemistry depends on communication. Nutrients don't automatically get absorbed. Hormones don't magically land where they're needed. They rely on signaling, transport, and coordination. This is why someone can eat very clean, take high quality supplements, and still not feel well. The chemistry may be excellent, but the body may not have the capability to receive or use it efficiently. This became very real for me through my sister Steph. When she received her diagnosis, she went all in. She quit smoking, she stopped drinking, she eliminated processed foods and sugar. She was committed, she was disciplined, and she was doing everything she knew to do. She tried different holistic approaches. First juicing in a fully plant-based program, then later working with a holistic doctor and moving into a ketogenic approach. From the outside, it looked like she was doing everything right. But by the time that she arrived at the Oasis of Healing of Oasis, in Phoenix last November, her body was in serious trouble. She could barely walk. She was vomiting constantly. She had ongoing diarrhea, and we later learned that it had been happening for nearly a year, and she thought that was normal. We also learned that she was anemic. None of us knew how sick she was aside from the cancer. Steph wasn't lacking effort, and she wasn't lacking clean food or discipline. Her body simply wasn't able to absorb and utilize the nutrients that she was giving it. The chemistry was there, but the communication and capacity weren't. This is the part that often gets missed. You can give your body all the right inputs, but if it's depleted, inflamed, overwhelmed, or stuck in survival mode, it might not be able to use them. The body doesn't fail, it compensates. This isn't an either-or conversation. Energy and chemistry were meant to work together. Energy supports communication and coordination. Chemistry provides the building blocks once that communication is clear. When both are supported together, the body has a much better chance to adapt, stabilize, and respond. This understanding is what changed the way I think about support. Instead of asking only what to give the body, I started asking how to help the body receive and use what it's given. That's where PEMF comes in, not as a replacement for nutrition or supplements, but as a way to support the body's energy communication system so that everything can work better together. Pillar number 2, nervous system and energy regulation. PEMF is pulsed electromagnetic field, delivers slow, low frequency electromagnetic pulses that interact with the electrical environment of the cell. It doesn't override biology. It supports by restoring charge, improving signal clarity, and helping cells communicate more efficiently. That's why PEMF tends to have system-wide effects rather than single symptom effects. At the cellular level, energy determines whether nutrients move in, waste moves out, and signals move cleanly between tissues. When cells are undercharged, everything slows: recovery, adaptation, and resilience. PEMF supports the electrochemical conditions that allow cells to return to optimal function. One thing I appreciate about this technology is its lineage. The original beamer signal was developed by Dr. Wolf Kafka in the late 1990s and helped bring PEMF into the mainstream. In 2020, that same scientist expanded the signal to the Centropics cloud, not as a replacement, but as an evolution. I think of it like the shift from flip phones to smartphones, the same foundation, but broader capability. This evolution is why that evolution is why this system doesn't use one signal for everything. It offers different inputs depending on what the body needs. The cloud uses 5 foundational programs, often referred to as our best, each aligned with a different physiological state. R is rest. It supports the parasympathetic activation, calming the nervous system and creating conditions for repair. B is balance. It supports regulation, helping the body stabilize when systems are out of sync due to stress or overload. E is energy, and it supports cellular activation, not stimulation, but availability of energy at the cellular level. S is for synergy, and it supports coordination, helping the systems communicate and work together rather than in isolation. And T is for transform. It's designed for deeper stimulation, supporting adaptation and change when the body has been stuck in compensatory patterns. This is what makes the Cloud stand out from every other PEMF device available on the market today. What I appreciate about this system is that it acknowledges something fundamental. The body doesn't need the same input all the time. Sometimes it needs rest, sometimes regulation, sometimes activation, and sometimes deeper support. The Centropics Cloud was built around this understanding, offering a range of programs to meet the body where it is rather than forcing it into one state. That flexibility paired with high stimulation capacity and precise programming is why I chose it. Another reason the Cloud stands out for me is the focus on molecular activation. At the cellular level, function depends on electrical charge. That charge influences how cells communicate, how nutrients move in, how waste moves out, and how signals travel across tissues. The Cloud operates at a high stimulation capacity, approximately 20,000 electromagnetic stimulations per second. That level of stimulation interacts with the body at a molecular scale rather than targeting just one pathway or system. To put it in perspective, we're talking about tens of millions of molecular interactions occurring simultaneously, supporting cellular communication across the body. That doesn't mean that it forces change. It means it supplies energy at a scale that allows the body to respond more efficiently system-wide. This isn't about turning cells on or off. It's about supporting the electrical environment that cells rely on to function. I think about PEMF the same way I think about charging a cell phone. Your phone doesn't stop working because it's broken. It stops working because the battery is depleted. The solution isn't forcing the phone to do more. It's plugging it into the power source so that it can function the way it was designed. They run on an electrical charge. When that charge becomes inefficient, coordination breaks down and the body starts compensating instead of functioning smoothly. PEMF is simply a way of supplying energy, not to control the body, but to support it. When I look at PEMF through that lens, electrical communication, molecular activation, and system-wide support, the Centropics Cloud is the most comprehensive, well-designed option available on the market today. That's why it's the system that I trust, the system that I use, and the system that I make accessible through the story of our lives. Not because the body is broken, but because sometimes it just needs to be recharged. Through the story of our lives, we both rent and sell the Centropics Cloud. Before I share my personal experience, I want to be very clear about something important. Just like medicine, supplements, or any wellness approach, results vary from person to person. There are no guarantees, and there is nothing magical that creates overnight change without trade-offs or side effects. Excuse me. We did not arrive at our current health challenges overnight, and meaningful change does not happen overnight either. What I'm sharing today is my personal experience and not a promise or prediction of outcomes for anyone else. Health requires engagement, intention, and consistency. And when we take responsibility seriously, we don't just impact ourselves, we influence generations that come after us. My first experience with the Cloud was in August. Things were just starting to calm down after losing Steph. We had finally had all of her flights canceled, her credit cards canceled, and her work equipment returned. All of the loose ends that needed to be tied up. A friend of ours invited us over to come and sit on the cloud. She used Synergy, and much to my surprise, I could tell a difference in how I felt. I was definitely still sad, but it was as if some of the grief had lifted from me, or some of the weight. It didn't take the grief away, but it made the weight a little lighter. It didn't change reality, but my capacity felt different. In September, my husband and I attended a Centropics Academy in Orlando. There we had the opportunity to experience the LEO, the practitioner level system, which is larger and stronger and not designed for daily use. Within about 48 hours, I personally observed a noticeable reduction in the cysts that I had been monitoring. After about 4 months of consistently using the cloud at least twice a day, that cyst has reduced to the picture that you see here. Using the cloud has also impacted my energy as well as my capacity. For over a decade, I lived with persistent exhaustion. Between 2012 and 2024, I depended on 3 5-hour energies a day just to keep up with life. I no longer need those, and life has somehow become significantly more busy. I've also noticed a significant difference in my focus and anxiety when I wear my bubble, the PEMF pendant that I have on. It's much easier to sit down, stay present, and follow through on a task or a project versus being a squirrel on the loose and starting numerous different things but never finishing them. Feeling much less scattered has made a huge impact on day-to-day life, and I'm very grateful to have found these products to support my well-being. The third pillar that we offer is access and sustainability to healthcare. One of the greatest drivers of chronic stress is financial fear around healthcare. People delay care, they ignore systems, and they stay stuck in jobs that they hate because they're afraid of losing coverage. This is why access matters. Impact Health Sharing is a nonprofit, community-based cost-sharing model. It is not insurance, and that distinction matters. Many individuals and families find that they can save 30 to 40% on healthcare costs compared to traditional insurance, depending on the household size and plan selections, and of course, individual results vary. One of the most important features is that the total out-of-pocket responsibility is ability. Families are only chargeable in the household, and additional children are included at no extra cost. There are no networks. You can see the providers that you choose without referrals, permission slips, and without unnecessary delays. You have nationwide coverage. You can choose between 4 different personal responsibility amounts, many which are much lower than is available through traditional insurance models. If you missed open enrollment, no worries. You can enroll at any time. Telehealth is available and included 24/7 with no extra fees, no copays, and no co-insurance. It's just included. You get 1 annual well visit per member per year, and this is not just your appointments, but includes up to $150 for routine lab work. For members under age 65, Impact also offers $150 a month wellness credit that goes directly towards meeting your personal responsibility amount, which is equivalent to your deductible in insurance terms. You are rewarded for being proactive about your health. Eligible wellness expenses might include supplements, gym memberships, fitness programs, massage, acupuncture, wellness apps, health coaches, and more. For members under 65, health sharing will function just like your insurance plan. We use the same CPT codes and the same EDI codes so that any facility you choose to go to is able to submit your claim on your behalf, just like they would with your traditional health insurance. As a matter of fact, once you schedule your wellness visit, Impact will call the facility and prepay the bill on your first visit. As soon as you enroll, Impact reaches out to schedule a welcome call to teach you how to use the program and maximize your benefits. That kind of service is simply unheard of in the traditional health insurance industry. This is a healthcare designed to work for people, not to make CEOs rich. For those of you that don't know, I used to sell health insurance, and I'm very excited to partner with Impact Health and disrupt the health insurance industry. It turns out that the Affordable Care Act is not so affordable. How it all comes together. Healing does not come from one tool. It comes from alignment. When we combine awareness, regulation, energy support, and sustainable access, we stop reacting and start responding. We don't chase symptoms. We observe patterns. We support resilience. Our focus is on education so that people understand their options and they can choose what fits their body and their life. In closing, you are not broken. Your symptoms are not random, and your body is not betraying you. It's communicating. The question is not, what is wrong with me? The better question is, what is my body asking for, and am I ready to listen? If you're ready to take ownership of your health story, the story of our lives is here to support you. Not above you, not ahead of you, but with you. Own your story and rewrite your future. Thank you so much. It has been my honor to stand alongside people in our community who are ready to take up space, trust their bodies, and shape what health looks like moving forward. It's been my privilege to be among those asking better questions, seeking a deeper understanding, and choosing to live with intention. Thank you for allowing me the time to share my heart.
Thank you so much, Sam. That was amazing. Just double checking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I changed my microphone. Thank you for letting me know. Here I'm standing in front of this microphone and I've been using my computer microphone. So hopefully that will be better.
It does sound better. You sound less muffled.
Awesome. Does anyone in the comments have any questions? I was kind of looking throughout. I did give you the link to your website. Someone had asked again for the name of the Impact Health, correct?
Yes.
Do you have that on your website that someone can easily click?
It's not on my website yet, but if they contact me directly via email or phone, I can get it for them. And I think that the QR, did I have a QR code on there?
The I didn't want to break the news to you in the middle of your presentation or interrupt you, but you were a few minutes into it when I could tell you thought, because you were on your slide page, but we were not able to see your slides.
Oh, no.
But we didn't need them. You were amazing. You delivered it awesome. I don't know about everybody else, but you were on cue and it was great, but we could not see your slides. So if they didn't
I think I forgot to press present in the
yeah, because I don't have it down below to bring it up for you, but it was awesome. Like, you delivered it like a champ, and I just didn't have the heart to interrupt you.
Well, thank you, and sorry about that. There's probably wondering why I was pausing, trying to find where to forward the slide, and it didn't matter anyway.
I'm sure you had awesome pictures. So we can, if you've got PDF like on your pictures, or if you have your slideshow, when I upload the replay, I can put that like a link to it if you want.
Okay.
So just let me know.
Sure.
We can get together on that. But you did awesome. It was absolutely perfect.
Thanks. I was nervous, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, you did a really, really, it was awesome. So if nobody's got any questions, we're going to move forward. And Jen Wersland is going to be our next presenter. All right. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night. All right. Now I'm stalling again so I can get back to my notes. And introduce Jen from Thrive Again Wellness. It is truly an honor to introduce this young lady. She is not just a colleague, but she is a woman who has become deeply meaningful in my life and in my work. I've gotten to know her. She is the founder of a brand new business called Thrive Again Wellness. She is one of those people who she's hard to keep up with. Her ambition, her integrity, and her heart for helping others is undeniable. When Jen commits to something, she commits fully. She brings all of her grit. She brings humility, her humble self, and a deep, deep sense of purpose. Today, she stands here not by accident, because she earned her voice. She is currently in formal training to become a certified health coach, making official what she has been living out for years, walking along others in the healing from inflammation, autoimmune struggles, cancer recovery, and the often lonely road of feeling dismissed by the medical system. She is also my first director with our company LEMD, and more importantly, she has become a trusted friend. I've watched her grow, not just in knowledge, but in leadership, helping others rise while staying grounded in compassion and truth. You know, I could go on for a long time, but let's just bring her up. Here, introduce everybody to you, Jen Wersland.
Hello. Okay, the favorite part about all of that was you said I'm young.
Oh, come on now, I'm young.
I actually do feel young. So I just was talking to someone just probably 10 minutes ago, and she's like, I feel so old. She's 40. I was like, I'm going to be 50 this year, but I feel better than I have in like 10 years. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm just feeling really good. So,
now, Jen, before we do anything else, do you have slides that I'm missing?
I don't. I put pictures together.
Okay.
All I put together. So I'm not sure how.
You have to hit that present button. That little.
Okay.
Yep.
So when I'm ready to show those.
Yep. As long you do that, and then when you want them up, you just say, "Hey, Tanya, can you bring up my photos?"
Oh, okay. So I just click present, and then.
Yep.
And then let you know to bring them up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to put them in there right now so that they're there. So
right. While you're doing that, I'm going to draw for our next winner. Everybody here, if they're in the comments, I have StreamYard has a cool little feature where I'm drawing for prizes. So while you're doing that, I'm going to disappear and I'm going to draw for a prize. You're on. If you need me, just say what you need.
Okay.
How are you doing? Do you need help?
Oh my gosh, I'm trying. Oh, there. It wasn't coming up because I didn't have all files. So let me look here.
Okay, I'll keep talking. The winner is Ashley. Ashley, that I can't even try to pronounce your last name, Ashley. Ashley is one of our presenters. She'll be on Thursday night, I believe. So Ashley is the winner of that drawing. I will type it in the comments if I can find the spelling of her name. All right, I'm going to go to the screen and find it. How you doing? You need any help or you getting it?
I'm trying. It keeps saying invalid file type.
If you have just share your screen.
There we go. It worked.
Okay. All right.
It's processing.
Okay. If all else fails, you can just do a screen share. I got you. All right, I see it. So whenever you want it brought out, just let me know. I'll bring it up, and then you won't be able to see your screen.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
I have them over on my other screen, so I'll be
Yep. It depends on how you click it, but you're good. All right. So let's go, Jen. Kick this out of the ballpark.
Okay. So I am Jennifer Wersland, and I have become really, really passionate just about healthcare. I'm just gonna kind of tell my story on everything that I've been through, and then I'll show you guys some pictures because the pictures really tell my story, I feel like. I've struggled with different health issues for quite a long time. Over 10 years, and I'll kind of get back to that. So things kind of started in 2023. I was having major abdominal bloating and ended up going into the emergency room, and I've had stomach problems my entire life. And so, I mean, years ago, they said I had IBS. And so I go to the emergency room, and basically the emergency room doctor says, "Oh, it's your IBS." And I was like, "No, it's not. There is something going on here." Well, come to find, so they try and do an ultrasound. I was so inflamed, so bloated. They couldn't even see my pancreas. He sends me home saying it's IBS. I called my primary care crying because I knew it wasn't. I woke up in the morning and my stomach was bloated like I was 9 months pregnant. And so I urged my primary care to order a CT scan. Well, that CT scan showed I had an ovarian tumor the size of a peach. So, well, actually, we didn't even know that it was the size of a peach until I ended up having my hysterectomy. And so I had to have a complete hysterectomy. They took that ovary because of the tumor. That tumor was non-cancerous, thank God. Left the other ovary, but it was like my body went into overdrive, I guess. My estrogen was through the roof. Just a lot of different things were going on. Well, then a couple months later, my body basically tanked. I wasn't able to get out of bed. I was crawling to the bathroom. I was crawling downstairs. And so I went into my regular doctor. They did some labs and they said, "Oh, you have Hashimoto's." And the crazy thing is my husband comes in and he's like, "Look at this book. You've had it for years and years and years." And because he thought it sounded like a Japanese car or something. And so I kind of had self-diagnosed myself years prior. I probably had that book for 7 years before I got diagnosed. And so I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and she told me, "Okay, see you in 6 months." And I'm like, I feel like I'm going to be dead in 6 months. And I was just in tears. And I had another friend that had thyroid issues. I got a hold of her because I was still crawling into the bathroom. I could not, I was so dizzy and had no energy and I felt like I was dying. And so she said, "Can I get a hold of my provider," which was a wrestling mom that we know. And I'm like, "Yes, please." Well, my new provider, her name is Carlin, and she got a hold of me and she said, "I need to get you in here ASAP." I ended up in the emergency room. She then drew more labs, did a complete workup on me, and my minerals were in the tank. So my potassium, my sodium, all my minerals were in the tank, and my resting heart rate, we were always like, "Why is my heart rate so high?" It was over 100. I was able to get a appointment with a cardiologist because at one point my resting heart rate was at 144, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, I was just so sick. And so she got me in with endocrinology, got me kind of squared away on things. But he started me on thyroid medicine for hypothyroidism. And I followed the autoimmune protocol diet. So basically, no gluten, no dairy, no sugars. I'm trying to think, everything. Basically, the way that I started eating was if you can grow it or kill it, you can eat it. Well, a year after I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I got diagnosed with triple positive breast cancer. And Samantha that was talking earlier, I actually became really close friends with her sister just through Facebook. She was a godsend, actually. I get a little bit emotional thinking about her because I survived and she didn't. It really affected me. But let me gain composure here. I survived, but I chose, since mine was a HER2 cancer, I chose chemotherapy and the year long of targeted therapy. And so I got diagnosed April of 24. April of 24 is when I got diagnosed. I did not have my mastectomy until July. And the surgeon at the time told me, I don't foresee you needing any sort of treatment. And so I was like, perfect. I mean, I'm golden. I ended up going to see the oncologist in August. So they let me heal up, and I go into my oncologist meeting, and she's writing down, she writes down 12 rounds of chemo, and then she writes down 1 year of targeted therapy. And I'm looking at this and I start getting emotional. My husband's getting emotional, and she's looking at me. She says, I'm sorry, you didn't know? Well, no, I just had the surgeon tell me I wasn't going to need any treatment. How the hell would I know? This is my first time having cancer. And so I was not a happy camper. She chose that day to have me tour the cancer center where all the people are getting their infusions. You know, they're bald, they're hooked up to their chemo. And I was so mad. I was mad. And you go through a lot of different things when you get diagnosed with cancer. I was mad. I sat there and listened to the nurse explain everything that was going to take place. I was going to have to get my port placed within the next few days. And they wanted me to get these Lupron shots to kill off that last ovary that the gynecologist talked me into keeping. I actually wanted her to take that when I had my hysterectomy because I was closer to menopause than not. Always listen to your gut. This is one thing I am very adamant about. Listen to your gut and be your own advocate. And so I got a hold of the general surgeon who had just told me that I wasn't going to need to have chemo or anything because I was going to have him place my port because he had already done my mastectomy. So I did know him. And so I got a hold of him asking him, well, can I have that ovary taken out at the same time? And he's very quiet. And he's like, I've never had this request. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to have any more poison put in my body. I'm going to be going through so much anyway. So he said, I'll leave time. So I got a hold of my gynecologist. We arranged it. So got my ovary taken out. I didn't know how bad my menopause symptoms were because I started chemo 2 days after I had that surgery. And everyone tells me I'm strong. And now looking back, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty strong because I had that surgery. And the next day I was out on my motorcycle because I knew starting chemo, I was not going to be feeling the greatest. And honestly, my summer kind of was taken away from me because I had my mastectomy in July, and then, was healing up from that. And then I started chemo. And so, I got on my motorcycle 2 days after that surgery. So I look back on things and I'm like, yeah, I am pretty strong. So what I ended up doing, and I did not even know that there was a naturopath at our cancer center when I first started chemo. I had someone reach out to me and let me know, hey, did you know there's a naturopath that specializes in oncology that works with the cancer patients at the cancer center? And I was like, no, I had no idea. So then I asked my oncologist, and it was kind of like they don't want you working with a naturopath. And so I was adamant about working with a naturopath along with my oncologist. And I am forever grateful for her. She has been a godsend. She's out of Whitefish. I still see her to this day. I will see her for the rest of my life. But she is the one that she got me on supplements to support my heart because chemo is very damaging to your heart. And then I had to do Herceptin was the targeted therapy that I had to do for a whole year. And that actually was harder on my heart than, well, I don't really know, because I did chemo for 3 months, and mine was a low dose chemo. So I did it every single week. And I was very healthy going into chemo, which was good. I think that's how come I handled it very well. People told me your skin looks really good, and, would comment on different things. And looking back at pictures, my skin actually did hold up really well. My body held up very well, but that's when I really started diving deep into, cancer and environmental things, because my family history of cancer was so long. I had to do a spreadsheet. I mean, I didn't know my dad's side of his family. And once I started finding out all the cancer, I always thought it was my mom's side, but really my mom's side, there was just a couple people on my mom's side that had cancer. My dad's side, it was every one of his siblings. My dad did not get cancer, which is kind of crazy thinking about it. He lived to be 88. But so they did the full realm of genetic testing they could do on me. It all came back negative. So that's when I was like, what's going on here? So it's baby steps. The thing that I recommend everyone doing, because you can't change everything all at once. So I had already really worked on my food. But then I went down the rabbit hole with the seed oils and also the Dirty Dozen list with vegetables and fruits. Because I was one years ago, was like, organic is such a joke. It's just a moneymaker. It's not. It is not. I have researched it so much. So like berries are on the Dirty Dozen list. They're so porous. They just soak in all those pesticides that they're spraying all over our food. I don't eat grains. I've done a lot of research on that, and they're inflammatory when you have Hashimoto's. And so I don't eat grains. I mean, once in a while I do. I make my own bread. So I make sourdough. The flour I use is unbleached. You always want to look, anytime you see enriched or anything like that, that just means they're putting bad stuff in the food. It's just a fancy word for it's not good for you. And I still have brain fog, so I kind of lost my train of thought, which happens a little bit. But I went down the whole road. I was saying, focus on one thing. If you're going to start changing things, you focus on one thing to start out with. So what I ended up, the first thing I started going through, because when I was going through chemo, I didn't sleep a lot. Those steroids messed me up really bad. And so skincare, anything you're putting on your body. And I actually brought some stuff just to kind of show different things that I use that I have found are clean. Oliveda is the skincare line that I use. This one is called like LA Dope. And I can also put this stuff in the comments, but Oliveda is really good. It's based out of the UK, and they have really good stuff. I use I use a lot of different oils. But yeah, this is the Oliveda face oil that I use. And then this is the makeup, because I do still wear makeup. I don't wear it a lot. I try to only wear makeup, like today I am because I'm on camera, but most of the time I don't wear makeup. And my skin, it looks pretty good without makeup, but and I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's OGEE. I don't know how to pronounce it. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I use that. Windrift is a Montana-based company, so I always try to support local. I'm a big believer in supporting local, and this company has been amazing. I love them. Toothpaste. A lot of people don't even think about toothpaste, but this wellness company is where I've found, and it's whitening toothpaste, but it's fluoride free. So, things like that. Another company I absolutely love. This one, Rowcasa, Rowecasa. And this is like a face scrub that I use, but all of their products are amazing. The lady that came up with this company, she is absolutely amazing. She has beeswax candles. That's another thing to get rid of. I ended up getting rid of like all the Scentsy stuff. I do still burn. There's one candle I still like from Shields. I mean, you got to live a little. And so I do still have that, but I do beeswax candles. I'm trying to think, like, I don't do a lot of lotions. I don't do a lot of fragrances, things like that. And so just focus on one thing at a time. Big thing, seed oils. They are sticking seed oils in everything. Once you start really looking at the ingredients that are on things, it's crazy. And my daughter she's always like, when she goes grocery shopping with me, this is going to take 2.5 hours because mom's going to scan everything. See, I'm having a hot flash. I do still have those, but it's really bad right now. But I do still get hot flashes, stuff like that. So after I got done with chemo, my body started hurting really, really bad. So it was actually quite a while after chemo, because I got done with chemo in November. And it was, I felt it coming on probably January, because they ended up doing scans from my brain down to my toes, because I was just having a ton of pain. And at first they did a lumbar MRI on me because I had back surgery when I was 30 years old. I blew out one of my discs, and they just did a discectomy on me. Well, I had all of this pain coming back. And when my MRI came back that I have a couple bulging discs in my lower back, I was like, wow, my lower back actually doesn't hurt nearly as bad as my neck, my mid back. I was just having all this pain. So then I had to go in for a brain MRI. They just wanted to make sure, with my type of cancer, a lot of times it will metastasize to your brain first, and your bones. So they wanted to make sure I didn't have more cancer going on. So they do these scans. They did an x-ray on my neck. It showed I have severe arthritis. And then I have a blown out herniated disc in my thoracic. Still have no idea how that happened. The neurosurgeon I've been working with, because I've been getting injections, I finally asked, I said, did chemo have something to do with this? And she said, your spine looks like an 80-year-old person's spine. And I have not worked manual labor, but sitting at a desk working, that's also not really good. But I always have had a sit-stand station too. So they finally are admitting that chemo probably sped a lot of things up with my body. So I've been getting steroid injections into my thoracic. They are not really helping. And so my oncologist has started talking to me because it was the end of June and I just had these joint pains were awful. And I didn't realize when you go into menopause that especially they want my hormones at 0. So my estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, everything's they want at 0. And it's affecting my bones and everything. So she brought up starting a GLP-1. There's there's all this stigma out there about GLP-1s. And I was like, I am not doing that. You are crazy. I'm not doing that. So then she must have got a hold of my naturopath because the next day I got a call from my naturopath. And she said, you really need to think about getting on a microdose. And so that's when I was like, I saw Tanya advertising or promoting stuff on Facebook. And I was like, what the heck? And I asked my naturopath about LEMD and she said, yes, that is a very good company to get it from because she knows how picky I was about anything that I put on my body, in my body. And so I started on the microdose of the GLP-1 and that was July 3rd. Within 1 week, my joint pains were pretty much gone. So now, and even back then after, a couple of weeks, I could pinpoint my neck and my mid back where my pain was. Before that, I could not pinpoint. They always go by pain to, if your cancer is back. Well, every time I'd go in, I was having an anxiety attack, crying because I couldn't tell them. I'm like, my whole body hurts. And so I got started on it. And the main thing was my inflammation numbers also were going through the roof with my Hashimoto's. Of course, when I was going through chemo, they were the lowest they have ever been, even since I was diagnosed. But they were shutting down my immune system. So obviously they're going to be coming down. They actually think mine were in the tens of thousands, because the lab value only goes to 1,300. So we really didn't know how high my antibody numbers were. It took 6 weeks on chemo before they even registered on the lab. So they were very, very high. And so once they started climbing again and all this pain was coming on, that's why I started microdosing the GLP-1. And it's been the best thing. I also had fatty liver disease. I think I might have had that for quite a long time too, but all of the stuff they were pumping in my body when I was going through chemo and everything else, it really affected my liver. Well, looking back, my liver enzymes were always kind of high. I always kind of ran high on my liver enzymes. Those are normal. And so I've healed my fatty liver. I'm off my thyroid meds, completely off my thyroid meds. I just was able to get off of those 2 weeks ago. And so I'll be getting my repeat labs here in February. So I'm usually not excited for my labs. And now I am, because it wasn't just like how I'm feeling. It's, and I'll show you my pictures here. My face was so swollen. I call it moon face. It was just so swollen. And I feel 10 years younger. And especially with my labs showing my, there they are. So my labs are showing, everything is healing. And I just feel really, really good. So this first picture here is when I was going in for my mastectomy, and my daughter, I'm going to probably cry. She is my rock. She's been by my side through all of it. She is going to be 15 in February, and she is my rock. So she had to take a picture before I went into surgery, and I did not do well coming out of that surgery. I wasn't feeling the greatest going into surgery. My surgery is 7 hours long. and my oxygen dipped. When I came to, I could hear the nurse on the phone with the doctor, like not knowing what to do because I was being combative. I was ripping my oxygen off, and my oxygen was dipping down in the 70%. And of course, I had to stay overnight in the hospital, and I was not happy about. I knew going in I was going to have to stay in the hospital, but when I came out of surgery, I was coughing, and they run this dye through you to look at your lymph nodes that they have to remove when you have your surgery. Well, then they have fluids going through you all night. So you're up every 45 minutes to go pee. And I was just over it. I was like, if I'm going to feel like crap, just send me home. I'm going to feel like crap at home. So that was a little bit scary. I had to be on a nebulizer when I came home. My asthma just was causing me issues and stuff. And then this next picture is when I went in for my neck surgery to get the expanders out and implants put in. So I've had a total of 4 breast surgeries. They put way too big of implants in me because they had to fill up the space. So that's why just on November 20th, I had my last surgery where they removed skin, put in much smaller implants. I debated on going flat. It's really hard when you're in this position because I am leading, trying to live a non-toxic life. And then I get these implants put in, but it's very hard. My womanhood was taken, I feel like. It's just a lot. And I did feel like I wanted a little part of that still. So there's a picture of me with my egg head. My son's friends would always tease me about how small my head was, but my last day of chemo, which was November 11th of 2024. This next picture is I had headshots done because I'm also a real estate investor. And so I had some headshots done. The picture on the right is right after I got done with chemo. I thought I was well enough to travel to go watch my son wrestle. He's wrestling in college. And so I traveled over to Des Moines to go watch him. And I was so sick. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was very swollen and you can see that picture of my belly, how swollen I am. And, doctors they just never really addressed all of this chronic inflammation. I went back and looked at all of my emergency room visits for the last 10 years. Every single one, they drew a CRP on me, which shows inflammation, and it was always elevated every single time. And my primary care never brought anything up. No doctor ever brought it up to me, which is crazy. Of course, after I had cancer and my CRP would come back high, then they would. And then, my socks, dear cancer, you picked the wrong bitch, because you did pick the wrong bitch. My sister-in-law got those socks for me, and I love them. The next picture is my last day of my targeted therapy. So I started chemo on August 26th of 2024. My last day of treatment officially was August 26th of 2025. So a full year later. And the next picture is me on my motorcycle. That was actually my last day of chemo. So November 11th, it was freezing cold out, but we didn't have any snow and the roads were dry. So I was like, we're going for a ride to go and celebrate. So, and then this next one is just look at how bloated my face was. It's crazy on looking back on pictures. That's actually my passport picture. Because I pulled that out. I'm going up to Mexico here in March. And I pulled that out and I'm like, good Lord, look at my face. It's just crazy how inflamed I was. And I don't even remember I think that was towards the end of my chemo. I'm not sure, honestly. No, it wasn't towards the end of my chemo. It was after I got done with chemo and I was doing the targeted therapy. Are you able to pull up? I think there's a page 2, Tanya.
I cannot flip anything on my side.
Oh,
So you have to see if you can do it.
Oh, here, I can add it maybe. Oh, there.
There, you got it.
Okay, so there is what I am talking about when my belly was bloated. That was actually a video that popped up on Snapchat on a memory, and I was like, holy crap, look at my belly. And my daughter thought I was pregnant in that picture. And I'm like, well, how would I be pregnant? You're the youngest. So yeah, that's my before and after. And it's crazy. So I've lost 23 pounds doing the microdosing. Now I get to go back to working out. So I'm looking forward to that. There's the picture of my daughter. She just lost it when I rang the bell at my last chemo. And when you're in it, you don't realize how much it affects everyone around you, including, your family. It affects everyone. And like I said, she's my rock. she's my baby. And then there's my husband. He is wearing a shirt that says I wear pink for my wife or something like that. And he still wears it. I love him so much too. Okay, that's when I had to shave my hair, my head. My husband ended up shaving my head for me. And if you have to go through this, and I pray that nobody on here has to go through this, because I just pray nobody has to. I had to have a little bit of fun with it. I was like, I look like one of the Three Stooges. So, and then there's my son. He came when I was in the middle of chemo. He surprised me. Him and 4 of his buddies drove all night. And walked in. We were at my daughter's basketball game, and I'm sitting there, and my husband's like, look who it is. None of us knew he was coming, which I was kind of mad at him, because driving through the night, 13 hours, but I was so happy to see him. And you can even see there how swollen my face is. I mean, my eyes are pretty much closed because my face is so swollen. But he drove all night to come and see me. And then, I did 2 pictures, I guess, of my last day of chemo. Then there I am with my son. I then traveled over to Kansas City. He made it to to conference for wrestling his freshman year of college, which is pretty big when you're a college wrestler your first year. He would have had to get first place to make it to nationals. He got 3rd. I was still proud of him. But yeah, flew into Lincoln, Nebraska. His girlfriend drove with me over to Kansas City. And I actually was feeling good on that trip, which was a good thing. It was right around Christmas. And then this next picture is my son and his girlfriend. They came to Denver, met us in Denver for my husband's 50th birthday. We made a whole weekend out of it. Other things that I have incorporated in my healing is ice baths, which I hate more than anything, but they do help with inflammation and things like that. Red light and a sauna. So I bought an infrared sauna. I researched all of them to see which ones had the lowest EMF. And I have a clear light sanctuary is what it's called. It has chromotherapy, as I ended up buying the red light for it. I'm a big advocate. I have a lot of people, like with the peptides, they're so expensive, and I'm a big advocate. You're either going to pay for your health now or your sickness later. And I've had to pay for both. So take it from me. I mean, my targeted therapy, I think might have been, I'd have to go back and look how much my chemo was, but my targeted therapy was $22,000 a session. And I had 17 of those. So, I mean, thank God for out of pocket on insurance, but it started over. I had to, start all over with the new year. So, either you're going to pay for it now or later. I think I covered mostly everything. I could go over all the peptide. I mean, the peptides I take right now, I'm doing the microdose still, and I will continue to do that. I added in glutathione, which I think is super important for everyone to be taking because it's such a huge antioxidant and it helps with oxidative stress. It's really good for your liver. I feel really good. I can tell a difference taking that. My neurosurgeon did have me start the BPC 157 because the injections in my back aren't really helping. And I do feel like that one is helping. We kind of went back and forth on it with my history of cancer. And my naturopath actually did a Signatera test. And so we follow that every 6 months. I have no cancer in my system. That will show if there's cancer cells brewing or anything. I don't have cancer cells in my system, but it really messes with your head once you've had cancer. Like my appointment coming up in February, I have to go see my oncologist, and it just messes with your head. If anyone on here has gone through cancer, you know the anxiety that comes with that. But I truly know that my body is healing. It's healed from the cancer, and I'm still healing it from the inside out. I'm, healing my mitochondria. I'm healing everything. I feel like the Hashimoto's was due to root cause issues not being taken care of, if that makes sense. I have a hard time explaining it. Tanya can probably explain it a little bit better than me, but I used to always blame it on different things, and I'm like, no, my body was sick on a cellular level, and I'm healing that. So, okay, Jen Peterson, I was very anti-GLP-1. No chance I was going to try it. I did not have any diagnosis or any better reason to try it than wanting to get rid of a few pounds, but I didn't realize how my brain buzzed and ran circles around the inside of my head until I had something to calm it down, the GLP-1 microdose. And I have not felt this human since I was a kid. Oh, I love that. I love it. Yep, I know. It's crazy. I agree with you so much. I'm so thankful that I did get started on it because, like I said, my pain was through the roof. And, and I do still have pain, like right now, my neck, because when I sit in front of the computer, my neck does kill me. But it's manageable. I go to physical therapy. I do all the things to help take care of it. I actually ended up getting an ablation done on my neck. I really didn't want to do that, but it was to the point I was just in so much pain, and it has helped. It's just when I'm sitting in front of the computer. And then, the injections with my herniated disc, because I'm avoiding surgery at all costs because it's a very high risk surgery in the thoracic, and I'm not going to do that. So unless I can't walk. I mean, that's how I was with my first back surgery. I literally couldn't walk. My husband carried me into the doctor's office. So
You're doing so many things. I think your body will restore. I absolutely think it will.
Yeah, and I feel like it is. I don't know. I feel like it is so much. And I make sure, to get outside every single day. With winter, I don't know. When I was in Sydney a couple weeks ago, we've had nice weather over here. When I was in Sydney and I walked out to go and pack up my car and it was like 29 below with that wind, I don't miss that. I don't know how. Yeah, I probably would not go outside for a walk when it's like that. But
even Billings, it's just not that far, but it is that different.
It is. I couldn't believe. Oh yeah, because that day when we left, by the time we got home, it was like 50 degrees here, or something. Yeah, 45 that day. Yeah.
Hit on just a little bit more, Jen, about the longevity piece. Like your story is awesome, and hit on that piece where people, don't wait until you're having to make a comeback before you decide to do something. Like Jen, who commented here, that's my daughter-in-law. And she's one of those classic ones that, would easily get blown off because she really wasn't overweight, right? But that little bit that she wanted to lose was her choice. Like, no judgment. Microdose gives you that no judgment. But like what she found was the mental health benefits of it. And I've got different people. I've got men like with anger issues or addiction issues, that things calm down because
Yeah.
of the gut brain connection. Like it's so real.
Yeah. Oh no, I 100% agree. I have a couple clients that are on the GLP-1 and they drink a lot, a lot. And I have one of the guys was like, "Well, I'm not sure about this. I'm not able to drink as much as I was drinking before." And I'm like,
Good.
when you're drinking an 18 pack, that's not a
Good.
good thing, you know.
Yeah.
So there are so many good things about it. And I was just on the phone with someone the other day, and the GLP-1s now are approved for heart disease. So I had a lady that got a hold of me, and so that's the thing. If you get a hold of me and you start talking to me and you're like, "Well, I have heart disease and I have this and that," I'm like, "Okay, I would love for you to order with me, you know, because yeah, I'll make some money, but your insurance may cover that." So get a hold of your
Check it out.
doctor and
Yep.
go and see if you can get it covered through your insurance. So that's the thing. I love LEMD. I love that I am making money with it. But what I love the most about it is that I'm helping people. I get emotional with that too, because I have a lot of clients that, and like me, it was kind of like, "Oh, this is it. This is how I'm going to feel the rest of my life." But I get messages every single day. "Thank you so much for helping me. I didn't know that I would be able to feel this good ever again." You know, and it's that inflammation coming down. It's healed my gut. That was another thing I did not hit on. My guts have been bad my whole life. And it was to the point like, "Oh, great. We can't leave the house because mom's going to poop her pants." You know, my guts are actually better than they have been a really, really long time. When I had to have my surgery, I had to stop my microdose for a whole week. Well, I went 3 days, I could not poop. And this was before I was going into surgery. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" And I did drink a little tiny bit of that magnesium citrate, only a little bit, because one time my husband, I hadn't pooped for a really long time, and he's like, "You need to drink some of this." He had me drink like, I don't know, like that much. Oh, I was on the toilet for like a week. It was so bad. So I only took like a teaspoon, so then I was able to go. But I got home from my surgery and I did my injection. And usually when you go through surgery and stuff, you get constipated from all the medicine, the anesthesia. I ended up doing my shot and I was normal. So it's helped with my guts. And that was one of the things I was really scared about, because you hear all
The
these
opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah. You hear the
all this
exact
stuff.
opposite.
And I think it's also the quality of the peptides. Because I just had one of my friends got a hold of me this morning and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to start this peptide that," I think she said her boyfriend's mom was on. And I said, "Send me what it is," because she also had cancer and she just got done with her cancer treatment just recently. And I said, "Send it to me. Are you getting it through your insurance?" You know, I was kind of questioning her. Well, she sent it and it was the ipamorelin, tesamorelin. "No, you cannot take that." And I said, I go, "Wherever you're going to get your peptides, make sure there's provider oversight." Because, I mean, there was, what peptide? It was that one, I think, that I was like, "Well, I want to try this one. It helps with visceral fat. I want to use this one." And the provider with LEMD, "Nope, you are not taking that." And that's when I researched it more. So then I had that education to be able to let her know, "No,
you don't want to stimulate human growth hormone. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
right.
So yeah, I let her know, and I'm like, wherever you're going to get it, make sure there's provider oversight where you have to put in your health history, because it's so dangerous, these places out there where you can just go on and order anything. And you don't even know where it's coming from. That's the scary thing, is you don't know where it's coming from. So and another thing, because I'm looking at the comments over here, thank you, Linda, for saying I'm an inspiration. Attitude is a huge part of healing. I need to touch on that a little bit. The minute my nose still runs all the time, I don't know why, but the minute I got diagnosed with cancer, I decided any news that I get, I will turn it into a positive. Any news at all. And so I tried talking myself out of the chemo and the targeted therapy. I researched it. Could have I been the 1 in 3 that would have been fine not doing it? Maybe. But I decided not to take that choice. But I combined the conventional medicine with the integrative medicine. And so, I did the ivermectin. I did, and my oncologist was not on board with that. But I research things a lot, and I researched it and I felt comfortable with doing it. So I did. I do melatonin. I do high doses of vitamin C. I do different things like that. And we have to be our own advocate. And they want me on hormone blockers, the aromatase inhibitors. First, they wanted me on tamoxifen, and I said no to that because it causes blood clots and different things. So then the aromatase inhibitors, well, I researched those, and with all the joint issues I already have, it speeds up osteoporosis so fast that I have decided no on doing those. And I brought in a lot of different documentation to my oncologist, and I do respect him a lot. He actually goes and reads the stuff I bring into him, because he will, at my next appointment, he'll bring it back and we'll talk about it, and he'll have stuff highlighted. Because I had another oncologist that she actually tried, I use estrogen cream, estradiol cream that my gynecologist prescribes for me. She tried putting a stop to that because I got thrown into menopause. I'm 49. I still want to have a sex life with my husband. I'm just going to put that out there. And my gynecologist, she's like, you're too young. And it's not just the sex part. There's a lot of other things like bladder infections and just a lot of
prolapse.
Exactly. And so my gynecologist, she said, oh, yeah, I saw that message. And if I thought it was if it was a risk to you, I would not have prescribed it. And because I even brought in the documentation from cancer.org to that last oncologist, and she didn't care. She didn't want to see it. She's mad. I feel like she's mad at me because I am not
compliant.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not being compliant, and I feel comfortable because I am working with my cancer naturopath. So I did a Dutch test. I think got the Dutch test actually through you, but she looked at all my results, and then I did a metabolism estrogen test, which I highly recommend anyone that's had a hormone positive cancer to get these tests done, because it will show how you're metabolizing all of this stuff and your different pathways. So she started me on I take DIM, I take calcium D-glucarate. She started me on, it's like SAME. I don't know if it's pronounced same, but she started me on that I have the MHTFR gene. Is that how you say it? So I have that. So I make sure that all my vitamins are methylated. So, you have to be your own advocate. And the way that I feel really, really good. And so I have to go off of that. And before I either had diarrhea or I wasn't pooping. Now I am pooping. And so, that's how you detox that bad estrogen that's all around us. And I've completely changed everything that I'm eating. I've changed, everything, the stuff I'm putting on my
Are you still doing the cell core?
Yep. Well, okay, so I got really sick around before Christmas because I'm on the step 2.
Oh yeah, it started to hit you then. You were detoxing.
Oh, really bad. And I was like, I cannot be sick when I'm in Sydney. I can't be. Yeah. So I am.
You can slow it down to half the doses of the Paris, or you can pulse them, like take them 3 days and then go off for 2 days.
Okay.
Until you can pulse them until your body gets used to it. But
yeah, I was gonna message.
Did you get any of the parasite poop yet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So now you're really getting to the root causes. So and just for the podcast sake, she's working with Dr. Melody Keller as well. You've got so many people in your life, Jen. Like you like you say, you're your own advocate, and you're not gonna stop until you get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Well, and I feel truly blessed. There's a reason you were put in my life. Like Tandy and I have been Facebook friends for 5 years, and it's or was it longer than that? I know it was at least 5, and because it popped up a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I must have started following you when I was really feeling like crap, and your stuff came across my feed, and I was like, what's this all about? And so everyone was put into my life for a reason. Like whoever told me about my oncology naturopath, if anyone, her name is Danielle Pierce. She's out of Whitefish. She's amazing. She is specialized in oncology, naturopathy. Like they have to have a special certification or something.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So I just, there's a reason that whoever, I can't even remember who told me about her, and it might have been another patient at the cancer center, honestly, that was like, hey, do you know about this? And so of course, anytime I saw a new patient coming in, I would go and let them know. Yep. And even the cancer center, because the nurses, just about the positive attitude, even the days I was feeling like crap and I was just not happy, I always was asking the nurses how they're doing, and I was just always upbeat. I
believe it.
If I was feeling crap, because I did have negativity too, but I did it when I was by myself. I had those thoughts when I was by myself in my car. I'd scream, I'd cry, whatever, get it out, get it over with, push it out of the way. Darnell Wersland is on here, and she is my husband's cousin.
Yep.
Yeah. But you have to be your own advocate, and everyone was placed in my life for a reason. And I'm really, really like Sam's sister Steph. She, even up until right before she passed away, every morning she would send me just inspirational text messages and different things and videos. And Sam, she was just a light in my life, and I'm super sad that I didn't get to meet her in person. I really thought, you just think, there's more time. And I didn't get to meet her, but I think about her every single day. She was so positive and so uplifting in all of it. And she was so strong in her faith. That's what really, really got me even more strong in my faith. And so I just have to say, she was just a light in my life. And I know so many others too. So
I think about that you a lot, like your support group. I did put the link for your Facebook group in the chat here, and it wasn't that long ago you're like, oh, I'm going to meet with somebody, and and her cancer's back. You take on such an emotional it's everything. Your calling is big, and it would be hard to bear the survivor's guilt and the staying happy for yourself and your blessings, but yet still being empathetic for other people. And everybody's got the why me, why does somebody have this end of their story, and other people have a different end of their story, and none of us know that. But yeah, you're just such a shining example of making every effort, just making every effort, and walking it out, and being human about it. Like, yeah, some days, I have a beer. Some days I do this. Some days I do that. When none of us are perfect, and that's how I feel in my health journey, is the blessings of knowing what was coming for me. Like, I don't have any crazy diagnoses because I won't go to the doctor. But sometimes you just know what's.
But
you
you
just know.
also took a lot of things into your own hands.
I did.
Because you were going down the
Yeah.
same path that I was, but you changed it before it got to the point that mine did.
I hope I did. I hope
I
I
feel
did.
like you did.
Yeah, I hope I did. And so, like, even now, working with Melody, Dr. Keller, I had an ultrasound done, and I've got some pretty significant, what do you call them when they're in your thyroid? It's not a goiter, but it's
nodules.
a nodule, like, pretty significant, and even Dr. Keller was like, you maybe should have that biopsy. And I'm like, no, no, we don't poke the bear. So between her and I, we're treating it like you would treat cancer. Like, I'm not going to label it. I'm just not. So with her, I'm doing the low dose naltrexone, and I'm doing human grade ivermectin. I'm staying on my cell core protocol. I'm redoing the foundation right now. So I did the whole thing years ago, and I'm redoing it at this level of health. So just those things that we can just continue to help people see that their symptoms are their body trying to communicate. And all of us make different choices about what we want to know and what we don't want to know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, I made Sam cry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Does anybody else? There's so many people that stayed with us the whole 3 hours.
I'm like,
So
thank
that's
you for hanging
awesome.
in there.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm gonna quick do the drawing. If anybody else, you look in the comments while I hit the giveaway button, and I'll do a drawing here again. You may not have been around when I was saying that, Jen, like the t-shirts and the swag I had gotten prior to Sam won, that I had gotten prior to when we were going to try to do the VIPs. So I'm drawing to give away that swag. I'm going to do another couple of people that were here tonight, because a couple of our the drawings have been going to some of the presenters, but that's not, like, I'm not leaving you guys out. You get to, I'm going to draw again. So you keep looking at the comments if anybody's chatting.
Okay. Yeah, Jen Peterson asked if my daughter could be on next time. Yes. I think she will. I'll talk to her. she's kind of quiet, but she'll talk about it through her eyes, because I don't know. Like I said, she's my rock. She really is. And I mean, she's upset with me right now because I'm going to Mexico without her, but I'm like, it's a work trip. So she's my little travel buddy.
It will be fun to see, in her future, what she chooses, like, for her path. So Kim Erickson, you won, and Linda Davis won. So what I'm going to do is hold all these prizes till the end of the week, because there are some of the presenters that are throwing in like gift certificates or work with me discounts. So there'll be some choices. Like I'll send out an email that is say, okay, well, I have this t-shirt and this calendar for you, and here's other things that you could choose from. Is there anything here that you would use?
Oh, Lisa Thompson, 14-year breast cancer survivor. Oh my gosh, that's
Awesome.
amazing. That's so
She's doing
awesome.
something right.
Didn't research enough at the time. Yeah, you're thrown into it. And I remember coming home and telling my husband and my kids, maybe I just do natural treatment. And, you know, he's looking at me, he's like, you have cancer. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Duh. But it was the HER2 thing that really, when I researched that, I just, and my youngest, she will be 15 in February, and I just did not feel like I could take that chance. And I am thankful that I chose the route I did. But like I said, I combined the two, and I completely have changed everything that I'm doing now. So
I think really doing both makes you a really unique advocate.
yeah.
You know, had it just been one or the other, your vernacular would be completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does. The surgeries and all of it. And no matter what, whether we eat for breakfast or what our bedtime is, we all have to live with our own choices.
Yeah,
And
we do.
and we're the only one who can we're the only ones who can do it.
Yeah.
So thank you so nice. Thank you so much. I feel like we could just casually have this conversation for hours, but we better go to bed.
Yeah, I'm getting to, and I need to go and eat.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow night.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.